Give me a thumbs up when it's ready.
Yeah.
Got it?
It's going.
Got it? All right. Now, just for your information, we have a sign-in sheet in the back. Please sign in at your convenience, but just don't forget. And also, we have speaker cards back there in case under public comment you may want to say something. Today's our retreat. We have an agenda, but I think it would help us to be able to keep it as informal as an agenda would allow us to, so that we can have some good, open, honest, respectful conversation today. Okay? We're here to kind of regroup. This is a retreat, so we're regrouping. We're rethinking. We're maybe thinking about how we're going to participate, because that we have some time when we're keeping our fingers crossed that we make quorum at times. We're keeping our fingers crossed that we get all our reports in on time. We're keeping our fingers crossed that we make sure that our committees are meeting and things like that. So it's time to reflect and regroup for today and moving forward. So I want to say I can't tell you how appreciative I am to see this, the circle full today. Now that some people were able to, some people were, could not make it, and that's understandable, but this is great. So thank you all for being here Saturday morning. And thank you very much for the hard work that you all do, in your elected capacity as neighborhood council members. So let's go ahead and start. We're going to start off with the usual. We're calling the meeting to order. So if we got our recording on, so if we can call roll.
Layla Aguilar.
Here.
Cole Ariola Carr is excused. John Barbera.
Here.
Vic Christensen here. John Dominglio.
Here.
Craig Goldfarb is excused. Cynthia Gagne is excused. Gwen Henry.
Present.
Melanie Lebrecq.
Here.
Kaylee Miller.
Here.
Ben Norman. Here. Thomas Norman.
Here.
Ray Regalado.
Here.
Michael Signorelli.
Here.
Adam Stevenson.
Here.
Angela Sumner.
Here.
And Chris Valle is excused. So that's 13. We have a quorum.
Okay, great. Next on the agenda is the general public comment on non-agenda items. So if there are any, I have a couple cards here already. So if there are any others, bring them up or forever hold your water. Yes, sir.
Can I say something about last night?
Yeah, if you want to do it under public comment, just fill out a card.
Okay.
So, any other cards coming up? Okay. So while you're filling them out, let's go with the first speaker card that I have, and it's from Vic Christensen.
Just to make it official, this is as a stakeholder. As far as SB 411, which involves neighborhood councils being able to go to full-time, being allowed to go to full-time virtual meetings, the city council has 2 council files on the agenda for this Wednesday, November 1st, 10 a.m. Council file 23-1114 is the authorization for the neighborhood councils to go full-time, which is part of the requirement for SB 411 is for the council to authorize that. And this did come out of the Rules, Elections, and Intergovernmental Relations Committee, also recommended to adopt that resolution. So now it goes before the council. And then
City Council.
Council file, yes, the City Council, LA City Council. And then the next one is Council File 23-1113, which is to direct the Department of Neighborhood Council or Neighborhood Empowerment to report back in 30 days on what technology support and other resources are needed to provide the neighborhood councils with the ability to meet virtually through the end of fiscal year 24-25. I don't know whether resources also means the funding aspect of it or not. It does not go into that detail, so that may be something that gets discussed at the meeting. It will be broadcast on YouTube, and I think on the LA City Council site there is a link to get to it as well. I don't know if they are taking any public comment at that time, but you can go online and submit public comment. NCISs and a few Valley NCs have done that before then. So unless this neighborhood council was to have a special meeting, a CIS isn't in the cards, but people can go in and enter public comments as stakeholders online.
Repeat that file number.
Two of them, 23-1114 is the authorization to meet virtually. 23-1113 is for Dunn to research and come back in 30 days for what equipment, resources, and technology and everything is needed for the NCs to do that.
I think Dunn also sent you all an email. Sent us all an email on that.
Okay, thank you, Greg. Something I've neglected to say, but I'll say it now, and we'll do it from this point forward, that each public comment will take no more than 2 minutes, please, so that we can keep ourselves in check. So, Diana?
Yeah, really quick, this neighborhood council funded a project back last February to plant native plants at the Oberon and Walker entrance to Peck Park Canyon. And this next Saturday, starting at 9 a.m., we're going to have a work day to kind of weed and clean it up and prepare for, it looks like we're going to get some additional funding for more plants. So we just encourage everyone to come out and help us get that cleaned up. The Recreation Parks Department put beautiful signs up that say it was funded by the neighborhood council. So we kind of need to beautify it so it looks good too. Right now there's a lot of weeds that need to be pulled. So that's it, thank you.
Thank you, Diana. Next, we have Carlos Garcia.
Yes, I'm a former member of the board, and I plan to be a member of the port committee, and I was on the port committee before. And I was looking through the correspondence report, and there was one letter that was sent to the board on the February 22nd of this year that pointed out the lack of cooperation and collaboration with the neighborhood communities in developing plans for the development of West Harbor and the rest of that development. And I recall looking through the earlier documentation that in 2019, the three neighborhood councils made a great effort to outreach to the public and provide input for plans to the port. So what I would ask is that the board, because I haven't seen a response from the port to that February letter to the port. And it was very pointed, and I think it was the right approach to deal with the port and restore some sense of collaboration with the community. And the other was an issue that goes back even further to 2017, when we made a recommendation, the board made a recommendation that at the San Pedro slip adjacent to the berth for the Iowa, that they consider building a Veterans Park. And I've seen some other discussion in some of the correspondence about the compatibility of that with an arena there. And I'm not quite sure if both ideas are compatible in that limited space. So I think it's something else for us to consider. The port will be issuing the EIR on the Iowa berth at the end of this year. It will be public comments next year. They hope to pass the board passed a decision on that. So I think it's another thing where we have to be clear about that idea of a Veterans Park, the sports amenities, and the 6,000-seat arena. And I know there was concerns that the board had about the noise pollution and traffic congestion that place would require it be addressed. So, and I think it's discussed in part in the connectivity plan, but I think we need to have input into that too.
Thank you, Carlos. It's nice to see you. Nice to see you again.
It's nice to be back, nice to be seen.
Our last public comment speaker card is from John Barbera.
I just want to say, last night we had the movie in the park. Thank you to Tech Park. Michael did a ran good thing. Adam for the movie, and the three ladies over there, the two gentlemen over here, and myself ran a booth. It was excellent, and I think we passed our goal. We have 42 signatures last night, new emails. So it was excellent. It was really nice. So thank you to everybody that participated.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Melanie, for doing all of your candy bags.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you for Melanie and for buying the candy and
And
the
for
pop.
hauling all that stuff for you.
Yeah.
So that we don't forget, let's thank Melanie one more time, just in case we forget later on. Thank you, Melanie.
Yeah.
Honestly, thank
The
you.
kids really enjoyed it, and it was funny. It was funny because initially we thought it was all the same candy, and John goes, "Oh, they're all the same." And then like the next thing came out, and it was different candy, and they were like, "Oh my gosh!" So like there was chocolate ones and Skittle ones, and so the kids were like,
Yeah, but I mean,
"Okay." But then we
it's all-
started giving, they were able to have a couple, so it was nice. Thank you. They really enjoyed it, and we
And you
enjoyed the
only
Whoppers.
had-
Thank you for the adult candy
The
too.
popcorn was only 3 types this time.
Um,
Cheddar and caramel.
And caramel was the hit.
The zebra one was.
Can I remind you all of something?
Yeah, sorry.
We're really not supposed to comment about public comment, with non-agenda items. So let's kind of hold ourselves responsible. We're going to have kind of a loose meeting today, but let's not make it too loose, all right? So that we hang ourselves, all right? So, thank you. Thank you. That's it for speaker cards. We're going to kind of start getting into the meat of the meeting with agenda item number 3. So I want to kind of, before we jump into 3, I want to introduce Gary De La Rosa. He will be our facilitator moving forward, and many of you might know him. If you don't, I'll let him kind of give you his resume. But the guy knows neighborhood councils. The guy knows the city of Los Angeles. He is a historian for the city. He knows pretty much everything and anything about the city.
Say I know a lot, but I don't know about everything.
And I've had the pleasure of working with him professionally for the last, 20 years, Gary? 25 years. So the guy's good. Anyway, so let's start off with number 3. And I'd like to do some self-introductions all the way around. Let's kind of keep them real short, because this is going to kind of lead us into the work. And what I'd like to do is for you all to introduce yourself, and maybe talk about why you joined and chose to be part of the neighborhood council system. I think that's real important. And you know what? Before I do that, I want to introduce our brand new senior lead, Russell Maloney. The guy is great. He is so dedicated. He'll even call when he's not working.
Yep.
So, but I say that, don't take advantage of the guy. Please don't take advantage of the guy. He is really good, really dedicated. So thank you for being here, and we'll give you a time to talk a little bit when you do your self-introductions. But this is where we start looking at participation. And part of that participation is volunteerism. So who wants to volunteer to be that first person to introduce themselves? And Kelly, you're so good. Thank you.
My name is Kelly Miller. I am the school liaison from 7th Street Elementary, which is in part of Northwest. I joined Neighborhood Council because I want our school to be involved with things in the neighborhood and pertaining to the neighborhood. What I hope to accomplish is for our school to have representation within our neighborhood and to be protected and well-served by our neighborhood, because we are a small school and we, as any school, we have a lot of needs. I am involved on public safety because I believe that public safety is imperative to schools and the neighborhood surrounding schools. And I'm also on youth outreach because, of course, that's my job, is to reach the youth.
Thank you. Anyone? Next?
Just go around.
Gwen?
I'm Gwendolyn Henry, from the Holy Trinity area. I've been on the council since, 2016? 2015? It's a blur. We're 7 years. 7 years now. And, I joined at the same time as Melanie. And I started in the media, and my focus has been, and I've actually been doing studies in environmental sciences, and it's because it's all about the environment. And I really wanted to make a difference. Came and saw Diana leading a whole series of motions, and I was just like, what? And wanted to join this body. So I joined the Environment and Sustainability Committee, and now with Thomas's help, his assistance and leadership, it's now the larger Port Environment and Sustainability Committee. And we hope to continue the events that we had been doing before the pandemic, EcoFest and WildFest, and with Melanie's help, make it an even larger event, and really work and serve this community, especially with the Port.
Thank you. Melanie?
Yeah, I'm Melanie LeBrecq. I represent the Taper area. Been on the council going on 7 years. It's our 7th year this year. The reason I joined Neighborhood Council was because I saw a need that there wasn't this partnership with LAPD. There wasn't a public safety presence that had disappeared since the woman that was involved in it before it passed away way back when Diana Nave was president, and saw that there was a lack of public safety going on in the Neighborhood Council, as well as there wasn't a representation for the senior community, the people that are seniors in our community, to get more access to them and more outreach to them so that they can be part of decisions that are made in our city and in our community. My background is in finance and advertising and marketing. So since then, I've been treasurer as well as have done budget and finance. And then my focus is kind of public safety too. And one of the things we're trying to implement is we haven't had in a long time any type of emergency preparedness like stuff in the Northwest area. Before COVID, we were going to have a very large presence of that, and then COVID just shut the event, boom, down. And so we're trying to resurrect that for this spring, to have it again with the EcoFest. So that's the big focus for us.
Thank you, Melanie. Next? John?
I'm John Barbera. This is my 5th year on the board. I've been on Youth and Outreach for 7 years and 4 other committees. And I joined it because want to make a difference in the community, work with stakeholders and everything, and do the projects that we do. Because this is our job. This is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to communicate with everybody and make them aware of what's going on in the city and keep them informed. So this is why we collect names and email addresses so they get our e-newsletter out every week. And I just think it's a great community, and I enjoy everything that I do, and we'll keep doing it.
Thank you. Anyone? Next? All right.
I'm Layla Aguilera. I'm brand new. I just started, I believe, in June. I'm in the Able Area C. I joined, I first saw in the paper, you guys were asking for candidates, and because I loved when the paper came to our house. So that's where I first saw it, but I really joined because I wanted to be more involved with the community, and I joined Youth and Outreach. All the events kind of glittered and shined and attracted me to it. So I've been an instructor, a non-credit instructor here at Los Angeles Harbor College, and I'm currently at another campus. And so I love the youth, and I thought this would be a great way to interact and be more active in the community.
Thank you. Welcome. Next.
Adam Stevenson. I don't even think it's been a year yet that I have been a part of the neighborhood council. Initially, I joined with being a pastor. I thought it was very important for a faith-based organization to be involved with the community. And if you've gotten to know me at all, you know that I love community and being out in the community. So this has given me an opportunity to learn. Many times, the first place that people come when they have a problem is they come to the church. And the worst thing that we can do is not have the information or the networks and the resources in which to send them, so that provides this. And then on a personal note, I stayed on because I realized that there is not a lot of black representation in many of the things in San Pedro. And so we can either complain about it, or I made the decision to be the one who steps up. And hopefully, along the way, I will continue to bring those in my community, black community, along with me, so that we can learn and so that we can be represented. And so, just to be honest, so oftentimes we can speak for ourselves instead of having someone else speak for us. And so I've enjoyed it. I'm learning a lot. You all have been very receptive, and I truly appreciate being a part.
Thank you. Next.
I'll go. My
Michael.
name is Michael Signorelli. I work at Peck Park Community Center. I joined the neighborhood council first and foremost because I saw for the many years that I worked not only in San Pedro but the Harbor Gateway all the way to South Los Angeles, the power that the neighborhood councils have and what you do for each community that you work through. And I knew that this was an opportunity for me to outreach more to the community that I work in. You guys do great things. I've seen it firsthand, and it is my utmost pleasure to now be a part of what you do. So I can say that, yeah, I'm a part of that Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council, and this is what we did, and this is what we do. So thank you for this opportunity, and I look forward to doing more great things with you all.
Thank you, Michael. Next.
Go. Otherwise, I'm going to put it off forever and get nervous, which I didn't used to be. I'm Angela Sumner, and I've been on the board for 2 years. I'm a member at large. I'm a postdoctoral fellow, work with children with autism, and I was drawn to the council to make a difference in our community, especially for our youth, which is why I joined the Youth and Outreach Committee. And every time we have an event like we did last night, I just wake up feeling so energized, like that we do these really amazing things. And one of the things that we've talked about in our committee meetings more recently is about the possibility of maybe rekindling the Pathways to Employment event. So I don't know, just sort of not having somebody else do it. It's our current committee. So I just get really excited about creating opportunities for our youth, and I'm happy to be a part of this.
Thank you, Angela. Next.
Well, I'll speak. Go ahead, sir.
My name is John Tometlio. I'm on the business seat, and I've been on the taper area seat. And I was probably one of the biggest persons against the board because of the decisions that were made on this board at the time. And I decided to join, be elected. I was elected twice. My neighbors. I'm elected by the community, not the board. And I'm here to represent the community, to make sure that they're informed properly and know what's going on before this board makes any crazy decisions like they did in the past. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
So Russell Baloney, the senior lead officer for the area. Only been a couple months, but I guarantee you I'm working as hard as I can. That desk that I have back there, in 2 months I've only sat in it for like maybe 4 hours. That includes all the overtime too. So, but in these past 2 months, I really mean it. I've seen how much people really care about the community, and coming off of patrol and going radio call to radio call, you really don't see how much people really care. And it's really eye-opening, and it's enlightening too, because if this is your guys' home and stuff, and I really love being here and serving you guys and seeing how much people really care, seeing how much you guys really want a senior lead officer and all that stuff, and seeing that how beneficial it really is, because you have somebody here to assist with facilitation to get things done, right? So a little bit about myself. I grew up in Long Beach and stuff. I'm 33. I have a little baby, one on the way. I have a wife, so I'm a family man. My family always comes first, but I'm going to do my best with what I can to help everybody. Like Ray said, I do talk to people on my days off, and because I learned that just because I'm not working, I still need to move forward to get things done, and just because the clock stops doesn't mean that I stop. So I please believe that I'm really doing a lot and the best I can to really help you guys out. I have ideas like neighborhood watches, trying to build neighborhood watches up and facilitate that, because just the way my brain works, I just try to make things run easier and smoother. I can't solve everything. We have different departments, but I can do my best to at least help out and do what I can do. A little project I was working on recently was the 300 Westmont. That got taken care of, and that was a very big project. So I just want you guys to know, my idea is to get to the root of the cause and not the little stuff. I want the root of the cause and to get rid of it. So that's all I can say is I'm really doing my best to help you guys out, and I support all you guys, and I see how much you guys care, and it touches me here. It really does. I want to just let you guys know that.
Thank you.
Thomas?
Thomas Norman, originally from a port city in the middle of the country on Lake Superior, Duluth, and when we moved here 16 years ago, and I can remember that now because that's when my daughter, Abigail, was born, we looked for a community that would be similar, right? This came from a city of 100,000 where people got together and solved problems, and that's what we found in San Pedro. It's a much bigger port, but similar things. Duluth, we redeveloped some of the area to things like we're talking about in San Pedro. And that's an area of interest, is economic development, and that fits into why I gave up Curtis Payton to become a professor of management at Cal State Dominguez Hills. Right? I really love seeing young people, but also I've helped people in their 40s and even people in their 60s figure out how they can be economically connected. Right? I love helping to uncover the hidden curriculum. We've been very focused while I'm there on anti-black racism, institutional racism that exists, and I really respect your comments, and just with the Black Faculty Staff Association, listening to what we can do in communities, because that's an area I've seen in San Pedro want to encourage young people to lean into, and I'm out there encouraging them to join groups like this, right? Because I think sometimes the young people I'm working with can be very apathetic, right? But instead, if I refer them to folks like you with all these different, opinions and thoughts, I think that's the future for us to remain strong. I love this community where my kids who grew up here had friends who worked for the port, were police officers, were teachers. It's really a great example of what I think LA or other areas could be. So very, very excited to be here. But my son Alec, who was on this, would tell me he got elected or was on here first for an elected seat before they changed the rules and you couldn't run for that if you're under 18. And it was going to Peck Park, swimming, playing tennis, all the things we used to do. We saw your meeting postings, and a kid said we should be part of this, so I'm here today, mostly due to that.
And my name is Ben Norman. I am a senior at CAMS right now, which is in San Pedro, which is why when my dad showed me about the U seat here, I decided that it would be a good way to get more involved in my community rather than another city. And so I joined the Board of Environmental Sustainability so that we can help the environment and the youth and outreach so that I can connect with the youth and that would create a better future in San Pedro. And even though my term might end if my sister does get elected to the UC, I will still continue to help as much as I can and help with events like Candy Cane Lane. Like, I love doing that, just helping out handing candy kids.
Well, thank you, both of you, because I think family, that's what we're all about.
And we got Abby now too.
Yeah?
You gotta have more
Wilson.
kids.
But there's plenty of room for more.
Absolutely. Anyone else?
Nepotism. Keep them coming.
I got one.
Vic?
Oh, no. You can have one though if you want one. That goes with your book.
Vic, you want it?
Oh, am I getting voluntold?
Yes.
Okay. I'm Vic Christensen, lifetime San Pedran, living in the house I grew up in right now, original owners, my parents rather. I have been on the board since 21, but involved through the Community Issues Committee from 2019. Main reason I got involved was the Science Center in San Pedro. Back in the 70s and maybe early 80s, it was quoted as being called the jewel of the LAUSD science program. Then it was mismanaged, all the animals got taken away, and it was going downhill. They tried to put a charter school in there, and we got that stopped, although they won't admit that it was the community that did it, but I'm pretty sure it was. And before COVID, it was starting to come back with a pilot science program, and then COVID stopped that, and we're trying to get it back up and running again, and get it back to what it should be. And it is slowly getting there. They are looking to put some chickens in the big pens once they get it safed against predators coming in and that sort of thing. If you live in that area, you may have heard literally about the chickens, mainly the rooster, because they are in a holding pen and he does make some noise. My background, I'm an Air Force vet, computer science and technical writing, technical editing background. So I am trying to, I like to streamline things as much as I can, even though sometimes I'm not streamlining the way I speak. So I'm the Zoom administrator, trying to get all the recordings of the meetings and turning these audio recordings into videos to post them on our YouTube site so people can watch or listen to them after the fact if they're not able to attend the meetings. And I guess lastly, San Pedro is typically treated as the stereotypical redheaded stepchild. We're usually the forgotten ones down here at the end of the Harbor Freeway. At this point, I think we are still the only area, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, who has an acting, not a permanent SLO. All the other areas do have permanent ones, and to me, that's just another sign that we're not getting treated the way we should be in San Pedro. So I'm trying to help make sure that sort of thing gets fixed, and we're treated the way we should be.
Thank you. I want to give anyone in the audience an opportunity to introduce themselves if they'd like. Lori?
Hi, I'm Lori Jacobs, former board member. I was on the board for 9 years, 7 years serving as vice president. I was on budget and finance. I chaired youth and outreach, and I chaired the Pathways to Employment event for, I'm not even sure how many years, around 5 years. I joined the board because I wanted to be more a part of my community, and I think Diana may have twisted some arms or something. But I just love the whole concept of the grassroots efforts to improve our community. And even though I've been off the board for 2 years, I have not missed a board meeting. I probably have a better attendance record than most people, because it didn't matter if I was a board member or not. I still can be part of my community, show up at committee meetings, and I think it's so important that not only we show up and do the work, but that we set examples, especially to our youth, and hold our government accountable, hold people accountable, and hold ourselves accountable to be putting out accurate information to the community. And to be a little more tolerant and kinder to each other without personal attacks, and put principles before personalities. I think this is really important so that we set that good example. And I had a few health issues in this past year. It hasn't been fun. Set me back a little bit, but with retirement, it is possible I could help resurrect the pathways to employment event, because our youth need this so badly. It's so tough out there right now. So remembering for everybody to set a better example and be kinder to each other, and accepting and embrace our differences instead of attacking the differences. So anyway, that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Anyone else?
I am Doug Everhart. I am the president of the Coastal San Pedro Neighborhood Council. I have been doing this neighborhood council stuff longer than anybody who is saying you should be doing it. I will be blunt and tell you that I have been doing this all these years because I am a victim of a mother who raised me with the mantra, if you don't like it, get off your ass and do something about it. In a lot of ways, it's that simple. And I mean, hopefully, America is still a democracy. We are at the very grassroots of it. The most important people are us. They really are. And what we do matters because we make it matter. So I would urge everybody to take this seriously, to understand the constituency that you serve, and to always remember it's not your agenda, it's their agenda. Whether you like it or not. So, and don't do this unless you're having some fun along the way.
Thank you, Doug.
I'm Diana Nave. What Doug didn't say is he was the founder of the Coastal Neighborhood Council. I was
Because I don't want the blame.
I was a founding member of, I was one of the founders of Northwest. I was on the council for 16 years, president for 6 years, and I currently chair the Planning and Land Use Committee. And I got involved in the beginning because there was a vision of this bottom-up local voices and the ability to impact, and how important it was that our government officials hear from the local community. And that's what got me involved. But I also saw the ability for us, kind of apart from government, to really impact our own local community by the things that we do, like the movie in the park, the things that we did that got the funding for Peck Park Canyon. We've had a number of things that we originated as a council and positively impacted our community. I think that's equally important to the things that are giving feedback to the government officials, so that it's both.
Thank you, Diana. Carlos, you want to?
Well, I already made my piece.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I say
I was going to call you.
two words here.
Okay, we're counting down.
In case you don't know who I am, I'm Taviano Reyes with the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. Been with the department for a few years, about 8, it's almost a decade. Been with the city almost 20 years, working for first a council person, and then Mayor Garcetti for 2 years. And then also live in the harbor area. So I echo everybody's congratulations for your service here, your thank yous, the gratitude, the hardships that we've all been through together. with trying to troubleshoot. I work mainly with the presidents, but super accessible with the officers and all the board members. So if you haven't reached out to me as a board member, don't hesitate, whether it's a phone call, an email, or a one-on-one, and now virtually, so convenient, which a lot of my board members that I work with take advantage of. So just a reminder that I'm here as a resource. I'll be here for the remainder of the retreat. I'll be assisting Gary, your facilitator, and of course your chair, and whatever else you need for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Octaviano. I purposely left myself last because I want to kind of use that as a segue into where we're going for the rest of the meeting. I'm going to be perfectly blunt why I joined the neighborhood council. I joined the neighborhood council because of a murder. A murder that occurred in the Harbor Gateway South community of a young black woman, Cheryl Green. It was a gang-related murder, and professionally, I was sent in from my job working with the county in the Human Relations Commission to help, along with our city partners, to help to see how we might be able to bring the community together, because you had a very active, vibrant young black woman who was shot and killed by 2 Latino gang members. And it just put a wedge in that community where at one time it was it's a very densely populated community. But what had happened is that the residents got angry with their leadership. They got angry with LAPD. They got angry with each other, and they just shut down. And when the sun went down, the doors became locked. The blinds were pulled down because of the fear of continued violence. So one of the things, and this is what brought me here, when I found out about what the neighborhood council was all about, I advocated the community to say, hey, please, don't get mad at your leadership. Don't get mad at the city. Use it as a motivating factor to get involved in a deeper level. And I found out about this neighborhood council thing that I had no idea about. And so I said, look, here's your avenue to get involved. Join your neighborhood council. And they did. And they took responsibility of cleaning their own community up. And when I say cleaning, I'm talking about they decided to link arms and work together to make sure that they had a neighborhood that they were proud of, because they were very embarrassed by what happened. The shooting got national coverage. The newspapers were in that neighborhood constantly right after it happened to see what else they can pick and choose, and print. And it really just tore that community apart. I want to also, blame Diana, because it was around that time, she started, talking about it. So I say that because we have a mission here, and that mission is to link arms together as we have, help us or help our communities link arms together so that we can do the job that we're actually here to do as a community together. And I will say this, I've always said it since I've been part of this neighborhood council now for 12 years, that I feel, and Lori, can you close Doug's ears?
I would love to.
I would like to say we are the best neighborhood council in the Harbor community. Yes. And a close second is Coastal. But
number 2. You got to remember, he was BC, before Churchill.
So we have a reputation of doing the work, Our reputation also gets us to a point where we do it respectfully. Sometimes we get a little bit rambunctious, and we look for people to point a finger at. But I'm going to tell you, through the work that we do, the best work that we can do is to understand that we work more efficiently in a partnership, in collaboration. And the only way that you can get that to happen is if you trust your neighbor. You trust the people who are around you, because that establishes the relationship that you're going to need to be able to move forward and work in collaboration, in partnership with those individuals around you. And you may not know them, you may not like them, but I tell you, at the very least, what you're going to have is a much better community. And like I said, if it wasn't for the fact that my wife twisted my arm to move here from the San Gabriel Valley, I don't think I'd want to live anyplace else but here. This is such a cool community. I have never seen a community so dedicated in activism. Our harbor community has a lot of activists. We take everything that comes our way serious. And I know for a fact that as a community, as partners, we have been able to accomplish a whole lot. So it's a matter of let's keep that thing going. That partnership, that ability for us to go out there and do good. And do the good with others. Be the model that we want to see in our streets, in our neighborhoods. We have that opportunity. So yeah, Carlos?
Well, I just wanted to add, you could have stayed away, but you came back to serve again. And you served out of selfishness. You could have not chosen to do so.
Thank you.
And your style of leadership, you don't have a big ego that demands attention. You let people lead the work and let them have the latitude to do what they think best.
Thank you for that, Carlos. So, we aren't independent in the accomplishments that we do. We do it in partnerships because we're able to accomplish a lot more when we work together. I kind of want to use that as a segue so that we can let Gary introduce himself. Let Gary kind of talk a little bit about what we're going to do, and then we'll go to agenda item number 4, and we'll do a brief introduction about budget, because that's another thing that we need to work on a little bit, and then we really get into the meat of everything. So Gary, you want to go ahead?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
I used to teach. I paid a lot of money for this voice, so I like to use it when I can. All right, so I'm going to give you my credentials, because all my life I've had to do that. I gave a talk at USC to some young students 2 weeks ago, and I gave it to them point blank. You're Latinas and Latinos, and you're going to have to give your cred every time you step up. So here it goes. I'm used to it now. All right. My family moved to my mom's side anyway, 5th generation Angelino. They moved to San Fernando in 1890, and they left Wilmington. Had cousins all through this area for hundreds of years, okay? So I think that kind of trumps most of the people, especially you, who moved here. You both grew up in the San Gabriel Valley, that's why I like to teach. So I used to teach in LUSD. I graduated from USC, International Relations and Political Science, pardon me. And when I was going through school, people in my neighborhood, because, I was the first person to go to university, how are you going to make money, right? However, it was gold, as he will know, because I was able to use that information, and they changed it to Los Angeles from the 90s till the present, because I knew a lot of background history, all right? And I learned and I taught LA, Los Angeles history, California history, as well as world and U.S. history. And I like to use that history as going into different neighborhoods, okay? And yeah, we used to come down to San Pedro a lot because we had relatives, right? The RC's part of the family used to have glass-bottom boats. You guys know that there used to be glass-bottom boats around?
Yep.
Yeah, that was my family. All right, so I got involved with neighborhood councils when I was teaching in the 90s. All right? And the guru was from, anybody know where the guru was from? The guy that would led this?
The what?
The guru, the guy that kind of sparked the thoughts about this in the 90s. Starts with an M. It used to be where the Lakers played.
Yeah.
Sounds like that's right, Minneapolis. Yeah. So the guy comes out and he talks about what is the neighborhood council supposed to be about. And again, I used to teach government. You know that class that most of you checked out of in October your senior year? So I used to teach that class, and I was throwing out this information because I said, hey, there's charter reform coming. There's going to be this thing called neighborhood council coming. I studied the ones in Portland. I got lucky. I met a professor who actually had done his dissertation on it. So I got a little bit of a background, and the idea that sparked me to want to get involved was it was supposed to be grassroots connection from the neighborhoods to local government. If I have a pothole, I go to Ray. Who do I call? If I have a dead animal on my street, who do I call? Anybody know who you call if you have a dead animal?
Animal control.
Yes. Say it again?
Sanitation department.
Not animal control.
Oh.
Everybody calls animal control. They're going nuts because they get all these phone calls. But actually, yes. Ray should know that because he's now the head of the neighborhood council, right? If I need something that is even federal or county, I should be able to come to my neighborhood council and they're going to say, I don't know that. But the answer is?
I'll find out.
Yes.
Find out.
So as a human relations advocate for this city, that was the thing that we learned when we went into the neighborhoods. And I was working Pacoima, which always says, they forget us all the time. I'm surprised you came back. When I was working on the east side, nobody ever remembers us. When I'm in the west end of the valley that has the nicest paved streets in the neighborhood, in the whole city, they forget us all the time. I would come out and say, you know what? To my boss, we don't know all this stuff. But guess what? I know people that do. That's why I used to hit him up all the time. The reason I'm here today is because of my work and relationship. I'm supposed to be in Berkeley today for the Cal-USC game. Because the Pac-12 disappeared, right? And my family, 100 years back, it was always, the West Coast against the world, right? So we were always raised with that whole thing. But when I heard that you were having a meeting and needed some help, I said, well, I'll save that money and go somewhere else. Okay? So that's why I'm here today. Also because of my human relations background, I want to make sure the neighborhood councils can be the best that they can be. And I've heard some terms thrown around here about representing the neighborhood and getting out to know the neighborhood. And that's exactly what neighborhood council is supposed to do. Okay? Because in the end result, I want my story to get to City Hall, even if you don't agree with it. Right? Right? Right.
Yeah.
And it's getting to know other folks, because as one of my mentors told me one time, we're all the same, but we're all different. So I looked at your neighborhood council statistics, and in terms of community, right, who you identify with, it's a 68% white. So all white people the same? They're not? You mean it's not like Latinos are all Mexican? They're not? When we used to come down to St. Pete, there was a huge Ukrainian community, Lithuanians, Italian Americans. One of my favorite writers came from down here, right? Eat My Dust. You guys know that novel? Oh man, you gotta know this guy's a great piece of San Diego history. Ask me later. Who? Do you know who it is?
No, but San Diego?
No.
San Pedro.
John Fonte. You guys know John Fonte? Or If He Hollers, Let Him Go. A book that's all about San Pedro and the boats and the ships during World War II and racism. You guys, know that one? Okay, great books. You got to check them out.
What's the name of the book?
Eat My Dust.
If He Hollers, Let Him Go. And then John Fonte, Eat My Dust, which is The Road to Los Angeles, which is great stories about growing up here in this area in the 30s. All right? It gives you a little look into the past. Anyway, so that's my background. I've been involved in this stuff for a long time, taught it in the classroom, been doing these meetings. It was estimated I've done about 60 plus neighborhood council, developing neighborhood councils, right? I remember when you guys got elected in 2002. I was sitting in someone's kitchen helping, hammer out bylaws, right? because that's what helps keep this thing running, right? We all have our bylaws with us?
All of them.
All right, right on. That's good, that's great. Okay, so it's a little bit about me. One of the things, again, my focus on neighborhood councils is because I want to see that representation coming to here, that people are safe enough to walk in here and give it to you, and then going from here up there. Just like when I was working in Coima or I was working down here in South LA, our job was to get information from neighbors and then take it back to my executive, who then took it to the next level. Okay? All right, so I think that's probably enough about me and about what I do, so hopefully my credentials are pretty good. And again, the relationship building piece is, again, I'm a human relations advocate. That's an important part of any of this, right? Because like we said, we're all the same, we're all different. But people need to be heard. And you may not agree with them, but they need to be heard. And remember, sometimes the people who are in the minority, like in 1839 when that ship sailed into New York Harbor, the Amistad, the majority of this country thought slavery was okay. 30 years later, that's gone. So sometimes they might be right. Not all the time, but sometimes, okay? All right, so, Octaviano, can you help me? We're going to put up some ground rules real quick. They're real simple. You just want to follow. We want to make sure everybody gets heard, okay? Everyone has a chance to be heard. So put away all your social media. I did a class one time for a bunch of lawyers, and in the back row, they're all doing, other work. And I come walking around like I'm doing right now, man, you should have seen them scurry. They look like my ninth graders when I was teaching. All right, so put away all of that, put it on silence. You want to focus here, please, okay? When someone's speaking, give them the respect to listen, because you want to be heard. Why should they listen to you if you don't listen back? Okay? There's you guys know the golden rule, right? What is the golden rule?
Do unto others.
Go ahead.
Treat others the way you wish to be treated.
All right. We use the platinum rule here. Treat others as they wish to be treated. Okay, I might be okay if you insulted me and everything like that, because maybe I'm crazy that way. But others may not. And we want an environment where people feel safe to speak. You don't have to agree, but we don't want to go all, wild and woolly. You have to listen. All right? That helps the process go forward. Now the next one and the last one is going to be the amount of time that people can speak. And I want you to vote on this. We're going to have three choices: 1 to 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, and then ad nauseam, forever. However, before we vote, I want you to remember one of the most important speeches, just not U.S., but world history. Gettysburg Address, about 2 minutes. Okay? Which means we need to focus, make sure we get what we want to say, because that makes it better, right? So think through. But then again, remember, if you're saying something absolutely brilliant, yeah, I've got to let you know. You got to go on. And it's being recorded so we can put it in the book someday. Okay, how many people think 1 to 2 minutes, just as a set beginning, okay? 1 to 2 minutes is enough. Hands, please. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. 2 to 3. Got 3. Forever? Forever.
1 to 2 minutes?
1 to 2 minutes. Again, you're not going to get cut off if what you're saying is cohesive and going forward and important to the conversation, all right? But just try to focus that in. It helps. It's like what we used to call our elevator speech. When we're talking to politicals or people that are higher up than us, we can't hit it real quick. We get lost. Hopefully after that, they're going to fall in love with your brilliancy and then let you go on forever. Okay? All right, so that's pretty much it, all right? Turn off all your devices. Please pay attention. Listen. Platinum rule, okay? Treat others as they wish to be treated. All right? And again, when we're talking about something, if I've asked a question or whatever, if I'm me, address me, not somebody else that you're upset with, okay? And then I'll get right to you. And then 1 to 2 minutes speaking time. If you notice what I just did there, is that when you raise your hand, I'm going to put you in line, okay? So that we get to you, all right? We want to make sure everybody gets heard. Everybody. Yes?
I'm just wondering if there's any way they can make it warmer in here.
Oh, Yeah, no, that's good. That's beyond my head.
But if there's somebody.
So I do apologize, it's a set thermostat, it's cold throughout the entire station, it never changes. So I do apologize, everybody.
Should we stand up and do some jumping jacks first?
No.
Other employees, they bring heaters
Lots
next
of
to their
coffee.
workspace.
You're right, it's cold. I'll start to feel, no, it's fine. Okay, so that's pretty much on my side. Ray?
So, Gary, thanks a lot. We have the foundation, so let's start building on that foundation, and we're going to spend a couple minutes on funding.
Diana, Lori, do you guys want to follow along? This is something you helped develop, so.
Hey, I didn't want one anyway.
I said we'll share one.
So, okay.
Is that it? Is that what the sheet passed out? Was that changed?
So this
Is that
is
yours?
training basically on budget and funding for events. So we're going to get very, from now on, because you're getting the training, this is going to be what is required. Melanie, the treasurer, is not doing any of the stuff for you anymore. You're going to be trained. You guys are going to be responsible for getting in the stuff the way it's supposed to be, or otherwise it cannot go to the board. So, the first thing you have to do is come up with a concept. What is it that your event that you want to do, or what event it is that you want to co-sponsor? If McCosters come to you and ask you to co-sponsor with them an event, what is the idea? So you've got this idea. So the next thing is, where is it going to be? Where's the venue? What's the date? What's the time? After that, what you need to do is to prepare what funds are going to be required to do this. And that takes an itemized budget. You have to have that budget itemized for every item and the dollar amount. When you do that budget, I always recommend that that budget has a little leeway. Don't make it so small that we're coming back to the board because you don't have enough money to cover the event. The event has to be budgeted accordingly. So if popcorn you figure is going to cost $649.50, then you're going to say, well, there's going to be shipping in there and everything, so let's go for $700. The money can always be returned back to the unallocated funds if there's some left over. You always want to allow for a little bit more. Also, there can be price increases during the time of going to budget and finance, going to the board, and then actually going and buying the item. We've seen that happen before too. So the budget is done. Then you have to prepare the artwork. Make sure the artwork, the banner, or the flyer is done when you're submitting also, as well as if there's an invoice. All of that has to be done before it comes to budget and finance, or what the event requires. Usually like with Candy Cane Lane, or like the tree lighting thing, it's something that we're going to be sponsoring, so that requires that it's an invoice item that comes from them to purchase, because it's a sponsorship. You have a level of sponsorship. Just like with a parade, they send us an invoice for that to do it. From there, the funding request form is filled out. This little form, this is a form that Lori and I developed when Lori was on budget and finance with me, that it tells you everything that you have to have. I want these forms to start being used again. They need to be filled out. I can send the chairs a PDF form of this, or a Word form to fill out, but these need to be done and submitted with your request, because it has everything down here that you can go through a check off as to who and what and why and what it is, and if it's your co-sponsor or sponsor in detail on it. It helps me when I go to submit to the city clerk to get these events approved, and there's no like bobbles that I have to work through with the city clerk's office. So budget and finance, all this stuff comes to budget and finance, and we are not the deciders. We are the facilitators. So what that means is we determine whether or not there is funds in the budget to facilitate this request. We find where the money is. If it's not unallocated, where can we pull it from? And then we come to the board with a recommendation. For the board body is the one who approves the events or not. And then from there, once the board approves it, then I submit everything to the city clerk. Now this is the thing. When are you going to order the Christmas ornaments, Melanie, for Candy Cane Lane? I cannot order them until city clerk's office has approved the use of the funds. Nothing can be spent on these events until the city clerk's office has approved those funds to be used. We get an approval code number, and then I can start spending that money for that event to buy the things for that event. Unless, for instance, like with a movie, it didn't need an event sheet because we were just buying supplies. So I can go use the credit card and buy the stuff. Candy Cane Lane is an invoice-only thing also. So I can send them the invoice and they just pay it. I can go buy the ornaments. The parade, same thing. It's an invoice type thing. $500, done. It just depends on the event. If it's our event, I have to wait for the approval. If it's our big event on our own, and we're sponsoring it.
Is there a specific amount of time that generally takes?
30 days.
Okay.
We have to make sure we're within that 30 days of submitting to city clerk's office for the event. So that means proper planning, to make sure that we're planning ahead of time for the events that we're doing, and not just like, oh, we want to do this event. And it's in 2 weeks. It just, the city clerk is going to just like put a big stop on that and say, no.
I have one more question. I was taking notes and I missed is this a form that we can find somewhere in a fillable?
No, I can send the Word document to you.
That would be great.
And this is for everybody just to have to refer to that this is the form that needs to be done. But those that would prefer to have it in Word, I can email it to you also.
Thank you.
Larry?
Yeah, a couple questions. One, on item 4, I think it should say committee submits to Budget and Finance Committee prior to the Budget and Finance meeting.
Yes, exactly. The board meeting, yes.
Okay, so committee meeting. Right, the committee meeting. So,
Yes.
okay. There's that. And then, is this form used, because it says request for funding, if you're just a sponsor, do you need to make
Yeah,
that
it
whole
still
form?
is the same information. So they just,
Okay.
the sponsor or co-sponsor.
Okay. And then I highly recommend that you start your planning a minimum of 90 days in
Yeah.
advance when you can. And sometimes you can't have, at the time you want to get this approved, you don't have all the invoices. So can a committee submit this and can, give you an estimated amount without having the final invoice? Because we might not have it from, the organization.
We have, in order to submit to the city clerk to get approval for the event, we have to have all of these items. But we can,
for board approval.
for board approval,
Right.
if you know that an event is coming up, a lot of times what we'll do is we know for sure we're doing it. We can allocate money for it.
Okay, and that's what, so I'm saying, so this is just after you've already had money allocated and you're doing
Right.
the event.
And so like for Candy Cane Lane and the parade, we have it on our budget for allocation, okay? But anything that's allocated on there on the new budget, like when we do the fiscal year budget, like Candy Cane Lane, the newsletter, the parade, because they're things that we know that we're going to do, those things still have to be reaffirmed by the committee that they're going to do them and come to the board through budget and finance to say, okay, we allocated $500 for the parade. Now we want to reaffirm that we're going to use it and have the board approve that this money can be used.
And Melanie, it's better if this is a fillable PDF. It's so
Yeah.
much easier to do.
We've got it. I got to send it to them.
Oh, okay.
Anybody that wants it, I'll email it to them. But this is just for training today. Gwen?
So, for example, Pathways to Employment or EcoFest or WildFest.
That's ours. So
no,
yeah, so we
I'm
would
just
have to
using
get
it
a
as
full approval.
I'm just using it as an example. that may have funds allocated at the beginning of the fiscal year, like Candy Cane Lane, it'll just be earmarked for it so that you know how much money is for, neighborhood purpose grants and things like that. But in the case of those 3 items where it's the submission must include, one thing that some of the more involved things is that the artwork has to be completely done and given to the city clerk, because they have to look at all the wording that's on there and give the thumbs up on it. So it's a lot of preparation. 90 days, if you're going to do a really extensive event, consider discussing this even at the beginning of the fiscal year. It's difficult because if you want to do it in the spring, not the spring, but in the fall, that's closer to July. So you gotta kind of figure.
And I will tell you that the city clerk's office is starting to be very stickler about the time frame and the length of time right now. They're training these girls now, the new girls that are in there. They're like by the book. Shauna always gave wiggle room where I could call her and say, "Hey, Shauna, we got this emergency thing coming." But the funding rep that we have right now is pretty stickler by the book, and she's not wiggling and giggling too much either way right now. So I would recommend, it makes things easier for everyone and goes smoothly if we are all prepared and doing, and if it requires that you guys in outreach start assigning each person what their duties are and hold each other accountable to get that stuff in, that's probably what needs to be done. And if you need help, I'm not saying that I'm not there, but a lot of these things are things that within your committee that you guys should all be doing, and the treasurer shouldn't be doing them. If you need help in getting a funky spot, it doesn't mean that I won't help, but it's just holding yourselves accountable to get it done. Yeah.
Thank you for all of the help that you've done with youth and outreach and getting the budgets and all of this going for us until now, and I appreciate the training.
No problem. It's just everything's kind of was willy-nilly because we've been in COVID for so long. And so now it's time for everybody to learn and everybody to hold each other accountable and stuff. So
Thank you all for always helping.
Yes.
Huh?
Yeah.
Really quickly, I know, like for all of us, she's the treasurer, but in our other committees, is there a treasurer assigned? So say youth and outreach, is there a treasurer? Like there's a secretary?
No,
it's me.
Youth and outreach does mostly we're the ones that do all, like, the planning of stuff.
Right. Well,
That's what we do.
Would it be possible then, so a person is trained in that area and then...
No, there is a treasurer for the neighborhood council, and that's what it
But each committee
is.
can't have like their own treasurer where they just submit...
You can have somebody that's responsible for filling those paperwork out that is sent to me.
Within the committee, okay.
You can have somebody in your committee that's responsible for doing that and making sure I receive everything.
Perfect.
And just as a reminder, board members can take the same training that the treasurer takes or any financial officer, and that gives you a solid background as to what the requirements are, paperwork, and there's also a very informative website that the neighborhood council funding program staff has. So that's a step in the right direction to doing that, short of being treasurer.
Right.
Also, I will tell you, in your book, what I have done is I've taken and added to your books my funding that I took in my neighborhood council funding, so you can basically look through this and learn. There's all kinds of stuff in here in this book, and community event, the training for events, it's all in here.
Which color map? Is that the green map?
That is under events and budget items.
Okay, we're coming close to the time frame.
What?
And with more involved events, and even the small ones, just allow that when you submit things to Melanie, she's going to come back and say you need to fix this. Guaranteed, there's always going to be a problem. So, but she knows the ins and outs and knows more about it than even the city clerk. She's actually corrected the city clerk, and then they go, oh yeah, oops, oh sorry, yeah. So yeah.
Gary?
So just accept that when she says something, she's not trying to block your event. It's actually a bureaucratic stickler problem that this will help to facilitate you actually making your event work.
Yep.
Two real quick things. The bureaucratic remark. There's a reason those things are there, not because of you, but people elsewhere have goofed up.
Yep.
Okay?
Exactly.
And throughout, if you study constitutional law or just the history of the United States, things have been put in place because somebody else screwed up, all right? And we're dealing with it down the line. But what I'd like to point out is that having this is awesome, and I think this is a star for you guys that should be noted downtown, because not everybody brings their bylaws. And I've had so many meetings where the answer was in here, but no one had it, and so there are. So I just want to give you guys some praise on that, all right? I'm sure you guys do the same.
All right, thank you, Melanie. So we're going to go ahead. That's our agenda item number 4. Great work. Thank you, Melanie, like I said. Look, every time we have an agenda item on a Brown Acted meeting, we're supposed to take public comment. So if there's anyone in the public that wants to make a comment or whatever, please. But I was going to come close to say, but don't feel you're obligated to do that. So so I don't see any hands. Thank you very much. Let's move on. All right, we're going to start talking a little bit about the meat and potatoes of our neighborhood council. So let's start talking a little bit about committees, committee assignments, liaison assignments, and also talk a little bit about the board members and their connection with committees and so on. So, this morning at 1 o'clock in the morning, I was going down and looking at all our committee assignments that is on the website. When people look at our website, I'm going to read off and I want to go through this, and you hold this list accountable because I'm going to tell you it's wrong. Our lists are wrong on our website. So we're going to fix it. And I want to ask who will help us fix it when we get the right people.
What do you mean by who will help?
Well, be responsible for getting and working with the powers that be to do it. Anyone?
I typically do that, and
Okay,
I'll send the list to Christina, so
Okay. So,
I guess me.
we're going to go through our executive. Yes.
Would you like help editing it, or checking it or something, or you got it?
Look, I have something we'll go through it, and this is a reestablishment of your desire to be in that committee also. So this is the important thing. So let's look at the executive committee. We have 4 positions, and the president, vice president, treasurer, and secretary, and myself, Chris, Melanie, and Vic. Those are the 4 assigned. That, I'm happy to say, is accurate on the website. So unless there's anything else you want to say, let us know, and we'll move on to the next one, which will be budget and finance. Okay, we're moving on to budget and finance. It's listed on our website. Melanie, John B.,
Yeah.
and Vic.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
That should be it.
And you're all still willing to be part of that?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Does anybody want to be part of it?
Can you remind us the date that these will be as you go through them?
I'm sorry?
Can you remind us of the date?
I do not have the date.
I do. I have it.
Okay.
First Wednesday.
First Wednesday of every month.
Every month.
At 5:30.
It's under the
At
committee.
5:30.
It's under the committee tab in your book,
Committee tab.
and it has it on there. So we can fix the names on there too if it's wrong.
Right, and that's exactly what I'm doing. Because
Thank you.
because if it is wrong on this, of course this is from July, then that's on me. Because I did this.
Okay. Bylaws on elections. Me, Diana, Gwen, Craig and John.
John who?
Oh, I'm sorry, B.
Barbara.
Did Cynthia
Yeah,
resign
yeah.
from that?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, wait, you know what, Cynthia, did I miss her name? I think I did,
Cynthia
yeah. She is listed.
Okay, she is listed, okay.
She is listed, but if that needs to be corrected, please help me
It-
so that we can
It
change it.
actually was voted on at the agenda.
Okay.
As consent, she was on the consent calendar.
Yeah, like I said, I want to confirm so that we're all aware, this is on the website, so, yes?
I believe it also was on the consent calendar to pull her off, and that was voted on already.
So she.
Yep.
So we're going to eliminate, take her off the list,
All verified, too.
and we'll move on to the next committee.
This is what I handed out.
Okay, let's do this here. Let's do this here.
So just for completeness, everybody is good except Cynthia is questioned?
Cynthia is out. I mean, she's
Okay.
out of this committee.
Well, that's what I mean, I'll
Yeah.
verify and go back through the records.
Right, okay. All right, community issues. John, Dan Dixon, Chuck Hart, John DeMeglio, Victor Christensen.
Wait, too fast.
Oh, I'm
I have
sorry.
this in front of me. Dan, Chuck,
Vic,
Robert.
Oh.
Vic, okay.
Cynthia,
Uh-huh.
and Cole.
And Cole, got it. Thank you.
All right. So, Chuck is out, right?
Yeah, so we're gonna vote.
Did you
him on
verify that?
I think he asked to be released.
Yeah, Chuck
last
wants to
meeting.
be out.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Okay, he
we need
did
to put it on
request
the
that? Okay.
consent
Yeah,
calendar so we
yeah,
can do
we'll
that.
Do it on the, well, I thought we'll put it on.
If he
No,
res-
we appoint him.
if he resigned, that if he requested to be off, we don't need to vote on it at the committee level.
No. We just gotta, yeah.
Dan Dixon. Off? Yes?
No.
No.
He's still on it? Okay.
Yeah.
John B. John DeMeglio, still good?
Oh, John DeMeglio also?
Yes, both Johns.
Okay, thank you.
Vic, still
Yep.
good? Cynthia,
Yeah,
still good?
she's still good.
And Cole.
Cole's gonna be on it probably just this next month, you know.
Okay.
He's gonna resign.
So we've got to make sure that we pull them off. Planning and land use.
But for now, he's good.
For now, he's good. Right? Okay. Planning and land use. Diana. Linda Alexander. Jason Herring.
Wait, Jason.
He came off.
Chuck Hart.
No.
Yeah,
He's off.
he,
Okay.
yeah, this is a, like,
Pat.
Yes.
Rock.
Yes.
Who?
Rock Ashfield.
Oh, Rock, okay.
Craig.
Yes.
Dan Dixon.
Resigned. He just resigned.
Yeah,
Okay.
Dan will be on the next board's consent calendar.
Okay.
We should try to get another board member on that committee.
Ready for public safety?
Yep.
Public safety report. Public safety.
Public safety on this list.
All right.
Let me know. No, hurry.
Now I'm ready.
Okay, public safety, Melanie?
Yep.
Yes. John B?
Yeah.
Kelly?
Yes.
Yes. And that's all I have.
Anybody else want to join public safety?
I have Cole on the list.
Yeah, Cole is on right now, but with him
Okay, so this
But
is just
for
what was
now-
on the,
For now, until he.
for now until he leaves.
Okay, but he is not on the website?
not on the website.
Okay.
What's the minimum? Is it 3 for a committee?
No.
No.
What's
You have to have 3 board members on the committee and then state
No.
members.
2.
Or 2, is it 2 board members?
That's why we needed Tom. How about joining planning?
Yeah, well,
I need another board member.
I'm interested, in public safety and in that one because of the conflict I've seen with youth and outreach. When we get to that, I'd like to switch a committee, so definitely want to help your committees.
I would love to have you on public safety, especially where we're partnering with an event and everything.
But I'd like you on planning, Tom.
Go to the highest bidder.
So he's leaving out youth and outreach, Tom is, and
We
then
need
doing.
another board member for planning.
Okay. Have we decided who that other person will be at this point, or what?
For who?
For another member for planning and land use?
I'm willing to volunteer if the board ends up nominating me, so I'll put my name in.
Okay.
Yes, Tom?
He said he wanted to leave
Yes.
youth and outreach and do that in
But
public
also
safety.
yes to public safety too.
Also yes to public safety?
Yeah,
Okay.
and leave youth and outreach, he said.
And you're on Wednesdays, correct?
I'm on the 4th Thursday of the month.
Fourth Thursday.
Okay.
Do you want to be on public safety?
he's going to
too?
both?
If it-
Gwen's going to do public safety also.
Who?
Gwen.
Oh, if
Public
Gwen's gonna do it,
safety,
then-
Gwen?
Well, both of you.
Both could do it.
Both of you. I need some strong people.
But I would defer to Gwen. I mean, it's 3 committees, so if you really want to do it, I'll do planning and land use and you do public safety.
Yeah, and then we'll
I mean,
compare
I might
notes.
still come to some meetings.
Yeah.
I would love to come to planning and land use.
Especially where we're starting to plan this event.
So Thomas, I'm gonna,
So Thomas is
Okay.
only joining.
so it'll be Gwen for planning and land, public safety, and Tom, you're going to planning and land use? Okay. All right, port, environment, and sustainability. Thomas?
Yep.
Gwen? Yes?
Yes,
Pat Nave?
correct.
I believe so.
Yes? Okay. Jason Herring?
Yep.
Yes. Craig?
Yep.
Ben?
Or I guess for however your term's out.
And David Samperio?
Well-
David hasn't requested excused absences and has been absent the last 3 or 4. Do you have anything from him?
Oh, that's right.
No, but he did kind of unofficially, without talking to us, say that he can't do it anymore. I mean, it's kind of around.
Don't reappoint him.
Yeah.
No, don't reappoint him.
That's what I was thinking.
Reappoint him. He hasn't met the bylaws
No.
standards, and saying he didn't talk to me, I didn't know, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so we will take them off port and environment.
And would Abby be, oh, and then Carlos.
That is something that you guys will say so that we
Yes,
can
on
meet
consent
and then you can put it on consent calendar.
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
We're going down to youth and outreach. Chris?
Yeah.
He's still good?
Chris Biden?
Yes. John B?
Yeah.
Layla? Kelly?
Yes.
Yes. Thomas?
No.
Ben?
Yes, for the
Okay.
When you're done, can I make a motion?
I'm through with youth and outreach. Oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry.
Are you sure?
Page 2. Please excuse me.
Okay, Michael Jackson.
Adam?
Yes.
And Angela?
John's so popular, he's on here twice.
So,
Who's that?
John's so popular, he's on here twice.
Just for the make it, you should remove him from member. Just leave him as-
yeah.
Point of discussion regarding committees.
Okay.
So at one time, we had a limit of how many board members could be on each committee. Have we removed that limit? And is that a conflict with the Brown Act or Robert's rules or?
You just can't have a majority of the board.
Did you hear that?
No.
That other
No.
rule, the city attorney came back and explained it didn't apply in the situation of like smaller boards. So the answer was, you just can't have the authority of the board. I don't know how many have on a committee.
Yeah, that's what.
So I'm going to ask that each committee look at that and make the adjustment. This is what we have, and this is what we're going, so please make that adjustment if you need it.
And the only other point of discussion, I'm wondering if before anybody volunteers for it, that they make at least one appearance to that committee on the day of that committee, before they are appointed to a board, to a committee.
I think that's a great idea. You through?
Yes.
Okay. Lori?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, you've gone through all the committees with who's on them. Are you keeping the same committee chairs, or are you going to discuss possibly changing some of the chairs?
The chairs can, like I said, this is what's on here, this is what we got. You're going to have to meet with the people who are listed and make the adjustment
My
if you need
understanding
it.
is that the president appoints the chair.
Right, absolutely. But I'm not going to just arbitrarily say, yes, you're going to do it whether you like it or not. They can make their own
Or vice
decision.
versa. You're not going to do it.
Right. So I want them to make the decision, but this is what we have on that committee, and this is so they can have the meeting, make sure that they are there, so that we can appoint them as they want to be
I
appointed.
guess my question is this a board discussion that some of the committees might function a little differently if you changed up some of the, who's chairing some of them, to get some fresher, just throwing it out there.
That's why I'm confirming that they still want to continue to be on these committees. What?
You had a question?
Vic, you had a question?
Right next to you.
Vic? Yeah, just let me say, Lori, I hear what you're saying. I don't want to arbitrarily give a person, to come right now and make that decision. This is what we have. There's a confirmation that they still want to be on it, because that's what I'm asking. So now, if they want to change the leadership within that, that's perfectly fine.
I hear what you're saying. My understanding was that each year that the president has the option of
Right.
reappointing somebody else.
You're absolutely right, but I'm not going to try to read their mind, and I'm not going to try to tell them what to do here and there. So it's just my way of doing it.
No. No question.
No question. Okay.
Anybody else have?
So I have one more section, and that's the liaisons and ad hocs. And we just have a short list. Homelessness, Lori?
Yes, I'll continue to do that if you like me to.
Thank you. Oh, yeah. The Christensen Science Center, Vic?
Yep.
LADWP, we have it as Dan Dixon. So we're going to have to kind of look at that and see if he still wants to be the liaison. Yes, ma'am.
Can we discuss the duties of liaisons?
Yes.
Let's turn down the list first for my sanity, please.
Public Works is Chris. We'll check with Chris. And I still have down as the ad hoc the agenda that Craig was working on.
That's a committee, not a liaison?
That's an ad hoc,
committee.
assignment.
Yes, that's
Okay,
good.
that's not a liaison.
We're bouncing back.
So, what do you want to know about the liaisons?
Okay.
Let me tell you, so the basis of liaisons was a liaison that the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment were going to develop these connections with these various city departments that affect our communities, and they were looking for liaisons. Unfortunately, there hasn't been a lot of movement in that direction, and after COVID, we haven't heard anything about those liaison assignments or those liaisons. Diana?
Well, you had two other liaison positions that were on the board roster. One was the animal services, so I don't know if that's still there.
And yeah, go ahead.
There are more.
And the other one was the one on the connectivity plan to a committee that never happened. So those two, that absolutely should be removed because that committee never happened.
And you're right. Again, I'm going by what we've had on our agendas and what's on our website. So I'm only going through that.
The
So,
roster had the animal services and the other.
right, yeah.
So what you went through is only what's on the website?
Actually, I pulled these off of more recent agendas.
Okay, I can go down the ones that you didn't.
Okay.
So,
Well, animal services.
Yes.
well, let me, so the waterfront connectivity liaisons go away.
It should go away.
Okay.
That committee never happened.
Okay,
We appointed people to a committee, we tried to form it, but it never happened.
okay. Okay, so now the
Animal services.
animal shelter liaison?
Yes. So it's still Anna Rondo, and I need to back her up because, yeah, some low clarification.
And who is that?
Anna Rondo, my daughter.
Right.
I have
Okay.
it. I have the
You
list.
have it. Okay. Lori.
Yeah, you were asking, I heard the question asking about the role of the liaison, and yes, the neighborhood, Department of Neighborhood Empowerment kind of dropped that. But my understanding, which makes sense, is the liaison is a messenger relating information on that topic. And so that's why each month I try to gather is, what's new related to the Northwest area on that topic. I think it would be great if we have these other liaisons that we did get some type of report, what's going on with Public Works or some of these things, or there's no point really having this role. It doesn't have to be that involved, but there are changes to all the information, DWP, all these things. So that's my understanding, is they should at least turn in a monthly report if there's anything new to be reported.
Diana.
I'd also recommend that if you have a liaison, that they subscribe to that, the committee agenda from city council.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Who the appropriate committee is, and monitor those and see if there's anything on those committee agendas that should be brought to the attention of the board.
Yes.
Good.
But also, Angela, for animal services, there's a director's quarterly meeting that Anna and you should be attending for the animal services that is over there at the animal services building. There's a meeting that they have that, and also updating always for the public what their wish list is.
All right. Yeah.
I like the idea of the monthly report because right now where it is on the agenda, we almost never get to committee, the liaisons. So if there was just something as part of the agenda packet,
Exactly.
that's how we could relay the information.
And I want to talk a little bit about how our meetings are going, because that's a level of frustration that occurs, I think, almost at every meeting that we need to kind of have a discussion about. So I appreciate the comment. Thank you. What's the next one? Animal Services?
LA Film Liaison, currently listed as Cynthia.
Okay. We're going to check to see if she's still interested or continues to be interested.
Then there's the Neighborhood Council Sustainability Alliance Liaison, currently Gwen.
And I'm still interested in continuing with that. I believe there was a second. We do need a second representative.
You're the only one listed.
Yeah, it would be good to have a second.
Okay. Would you take on the responsibility of looking for that?
Yes.
That second, or is it a second person or an alternate?
An alternate.
Okay.
When you can't make it, or? Yeah.
How often do they meet? Is it monthly?
It's kind of catch as catch can. They have Zoom meetings quite frequently, and various events. There's like one annual event where it's actually at a place, and it's usually in the San Fernando Valley, which is prior to the pandemic. I used to go to it. And then they do have a neighborhood congress when it's gathered. There is a neighborhood congress gathering as well. But, and that would be important for all the liaisons to go to their respective group.
Oh, the Empower LA Neighborhood Congress. Yeah, Neighborhood Congress, the Empower LA Neighborhood Congress, and go to
Okay.
whatever events they have.
So you will be responsible to look for that number 2?
Yeah, yeah.
As your alternate.
Yeah.
Who else do we have?
CPAB.
We have the data liaisons, which are currently listed as Gwen and me.
Data?
And there were seminars that after we decided upon that, prior to that, there was sessions for training. And we had missed the first one. I don't know if we had signed up. Octaviano, what was, there are going to be further trainings for the digital?
Wait, let's let her finish.
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, and where is that at this point? Because it was only in creation of
I thought there was
procedures
some
and
recording.
We do have a director on innovation, but we haven't received any update on whether there's going to be any additional workshops the ones we've had a few years ago.
Okay, well, Vic, I would defer to you as the first, and I would be the alternate
Or
for this role.
we can, right now it's reversed, but are there recorded training sessions of some sort online? I seem to remember
Yeah.
there being something, not, even if there weren't the live ones coming up, weren't there some recordings or?
Yeah, I kind of looked for those as well.
Let me look around the website. I don't recall if they posted them up, and I don't recall if we ended up recording the virtual ones that we had. So let me look around, and I'll share with you.
Okay.
But I suggest somebody in youth and outreach be interested in this as well, because it is youth and outreach's responsibility to do Facebook and social media and those kind of things. And that's really the greatest import of that. The only reason I'm interested in it is because of trying to communicate for the large event that Melanie and I put on, that gets involved in that.
Can you kind of look at this and then
Yeah.
make the decision so that we can move forward? Melanie, you had a question?
Yeah, we have to do budget reps today, and we have to make sure CPAB, my alternate for CPAB.
He was going to the list,
Okay.
so.
I just wasn't sure if we had those on the list.
We're not past the current one yet.
Oh, okay.
So, next?
So are we going to leave data liaison kind of up for
Yeah, if you
discussion at
guys
this
can,
point?
if you guys can work it. Who? Oh, Angela, yeah, I had seen Angela.
But you were trying to move on. I just want to say, Chris provides us with the data at our youth and outreach meeting for the social media account, so I don't want to volunteer someone who's not here, but if you're looking for an
Maybe he should be
alternate,
there.
he might be someone to consider, because he does that already at our youth and outreach meetings for the data.
So, again, maybe something else you all can
Follow.
work out? Okay.
To me, he sounds like a good candidate, but
I think so.
again,
He's
you
not
don't
here,
want, like,
so-
yeah, right, I understand. Okay, next, are we sufficiently done with
Is
this?
this for something specific that we've discussed? Because we're still
I
going
would
to.
only speak on what you're talking about. I'm trying to understand what a data liaison is. Outreach has looked at analytics on the social media. That wasn't.
That's what they just were talking
I understand,
about.
and I never understood that's what this data liaison role is. Is there somewhere where there's a definition of what this is? What data? There's all kinds of, Gary quoted some statistics on.
That is.
Like demographics of who's in
GIS.
our area. So I don't think it has to be a youth and outreach person and necessarily, unless you're looking for the analytics of the social media.
It's a small part of it, I think, but
I
it's
don't-
GIS mapping.
I don't think that the analytics of how many people clicked on Facebook is really that pertinent to what this role is, but maybe that is what you're looking for.
I think the recording that I was talking about, that Octavio is going to look for, had some of that as far as defining what a data liaison is.
Okay.
I have no guarantee because I haven't seen it, but I remember seeing that there was something out there that appeared to be kind of a training intro to what a data liaison is.
Yeah. When?
I believe that it actually, it's kind of like the treasurer training, budget and finance training. Anybody can participate, and anybody that does participate will have a greater insight on some of the ins and outs of it. Data is the same thing. I think that, mapping out your constituents, what the racial and cultural makeup is, everything from trees, how many trees are on, it's everything. And so being able to get that data and retrieve it for questions that are pertinent to your neighborhood council, that's what it's about. But it also is about facilitating social media and being able to, and all the information that is out there in the city of Los Angeles, providing the information on our social media that is most pertinent to our community,
Okay.
So I'm going to ask that you guys kind of thread that out, and then we can officially put it in. So, what's the next one?
Legal representatives currently listed as Ray as the primary, and Chris Valle and I are the alternates.
Right. That yeah.
So we're good with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's required by the city attorney.
Right.
The president.
Okay, the Hank.
That's not, hasn't been resurrected again.
Yeah, we're not there yet.
It's currently gone, so.
But there's a possibility that's going to be resurrected next month.
Oh.
Yes.
Are you looking at Octaviano?
No, I'm looking at Doug.
I'm sorry.
Are we going to resurrect Hank?
Are we resurrecting Hank?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've been intoning incantations over more of my body of Hank. Wow. Actually, there was, yes, we were hoping to start up in November, but events intervened, unfortunately, and I'm thinking December may not, but so maybe first week of January.
Okay.
It's just, there's 8 million other things going on
So
right now.
I'm interested in still staying the
route
route for that.
Ryan over at Kaiser about potentially getting back in there at the conference.
Okay.
Would you like to identify what Hank stands for?
Thank you.
I figured that's why you raised your hand.
Yeah.
What does Hank stand for?
Harbor
Alliance and Neighborhood Councils.
Yes, Harbor Alliance and Neighborhood Councils. And I've also had some preliminary discussion about the possibility of creating some funding mechanism for regional alliances. But that is very, very nebulous at this point. One of the problems is, like everything, trying to get people who have all kinds of extra time to add this to everything else we're all doing.
Yeah.
And not have to pay for it out of our own pockets.
Does that answer your question? Thank you.
Right. So I'm interested in still staying the person for that.
Okay.
And Ray, you are listed as the alternate.
Yeah.
So is that a yes from you?
Yeah, that's a yes for me. From me.
Okay.
So
next.
No. Well.
Okay.
So question. Go ahead.
I had participated as just, an extra person. It's very informative to find out what the other neighborhood councils are dealing with. I think it's a great mechanism, and all the other regional areas, they have an alliance as well. I think we should support it. But also, is it possible, do you think, with these two council files that Vic mentioned, that maybe we can resurrect it as a Zoom meeting? Or a hybrid meeting at Kaiser? Is that feasible? Of course, the representatives would have to be there for quorum, but...
We're not Brown Act.
It's not required by Hank to be
It's not
Brown
Brown
Acted.
Acted.
We aren't a Brown Acted, so we could be on Zoom if we wanted to for it.
Would you like me to address that? Or?
Sure. But we really do need to move on.
Yeah, I mean, Hank is not a Brown Acted body. So Zoom meetings could be done, hybrid meetings could be done. I will tell you that
one of the reasons Hank sort of died, and actually, it's not the only regional alliance. Hollywood Alliance, same thing, and some others. COVID and Zoom really did in a lot of the regional alliances. It's, the other part of that problem is somebody's got to pay for a Zoom account or provide for a Zoom account, and so that becomes an added cost.
Yeah.
As well as someone having to, set up the meeting and then run the Zoom meeting.
Check the email, do the agenda.
So these were factors in that. In a perfect world, it'd be hybrid. But hybrid's a lot tougher than everybody.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think Cheryl also was kind of under her breath was reminding us that it would take
Hybrid isn't as simple as
the
you
paperwork
think
stuff.
it is.
So, look, it's coming up possibly in January. We really need to move this agenda because I see the food is here.
Yes, it is.
And I think I've seen frost gather
Yeah.
around the edges of the food. So let's finish up this agenda item and we'll break for lunch a little bit earlier. Yes, Carlos?
Well, one thing I've observed, because I attended the joint neighborhood council meetings for sustainability and how they should coordinate with the neighborhood councils and to what extent can they initiate efforts that have to go back to the neighborhood councils to be committees to be approved and then go up to the board to be approved. I don't think that coordination is really working all that well.
And in reference to Hank, is what I'm hearing.
No, not in reference to just in terms of it doesn't seem to be, it may follow the model of Hank, but they seem to be separate efforts. The last meetings I've attended to for the joint sustainability meetings, they've been very good, but I didn't see that coordination with each of the neighborhood councils and how things that may be discussed there have to be vetted through the committee structure in each neighborhood council. And I don't know how that should be coordinated so it's effective and efficient.
That's not this item. So I appreciate that. Thank you for bringing that up, and I think we can bring that up with the appropriate
I want to create more
group.
bureaucracy, but
What do we have next?
Next one is CPAB, and what does CPAB stand for again?
Budget rep, Community Police Advisory Board.
Right now, that is listed as Melanie primary and Craig alternate.
And I don't know if Craig hasn't been attending or ever been available except for
But you're
one
okay with
time.
that?
Not really. I need somebody that I can rely on.
No.
that's attending
You're
meetings.
okay
I'm
with
okay with
being-
staying primary.
Okay,
I'm not sure
that's
about
the
the
question.
alternate, though.
So I'm going to ask if you're primary, if you could have that conversation with Craig.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Do we have more than one alternate if I was interested in the CPAP?
Sure.
That would be great, too, to have somebody, if Craig can't follow through, then...
Thank you.
So you're interested in that, Adam?
Yes.
I put his name. It's official.
Okay, great. Gwen?
No, pass.
No? Okay. Can we, so we can get by this real quick, so we're through with CPAP?
Okay, next one is budget rep. Melanie is primary, Craig is alternate right now.
So that is a vote one, and that,
Not if we don't
so,
change it.
huh?
Not if you don't change it.
Craig, I don't know if Craig's interested.
Speak for
again.
yourself.
I'm interested in staying
Okay.
because I am the budget
Okay.
advocate, but
That's where you're here, then we
Yeah.
can take it up with Craig, or if you want to talk to Craig about that
I'll
also.
see too, because Thomas is interested in doing it if Craig doesn't
Okay.
want to do it.
So Melanie, you're still
Yeah,
as budget advocate, but still
budget rep.
as
You
budget
have to
rep.
be a rep in order to be a budget
Can
advocate.
Thomas be an alternate even, I mean, can there
No,
be more
you
than
can
one
only have two
alternate?
budget reps.
Only two. No, okay.
But let's check with him. I don't want to undermine
Yeah, I
anything
know
that
that.
he had, but it's good that we have Thomas interested. And what's next? That's it?
Grievance panel representative for Region 12 is Melanie. That's not
And
something
that's
we
not up to
assign.
us, that's up to the
Right.
RLA.
Right. I mean, it's listed here, but it's not something that we appoint.
Okay.
No.
So, you're still good with that?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Any other?
We have the different social media accounts and administrators. First one is Instagram. Chris Faye is that one?
Are they all different?
Yes.
I mean, they all have a different individual associated?
Yes.
Really?
Chris is Instagram, or Instagram is Chris only. Facebook is Christina and Chris. Christina Smith. Nextdoor is Christina Smith. Twitter is Christina and Chris. Zoom and YouTube are both me. And Webmaster is Christina. So I don't know that there's, I am still willing to do the ones I'm doing. Chris isn't here, but I have a feeling he probably is okay with that, but I can't speak for him.
Then we need to check with him. Again, I don't want to undermine him.
Okay.
So would you talk to him about those assignments?
Yep.
Okay.
And I know Christina's okay with those, but
Right.
I can make it official and verify with her too.
Okay.
And those are the last ones that I have.
Okay.
Great.
One
Thomas?
quick edit for Vic from this list for board environmental sustainability on the website to list both one as co-chairs.
Right, yeah.
It's listing as chair and one and co-chair, but it's
Okay.
two co-chairs.
Co-chair.
Wait, say
And port environmental, they are.
say that again.
They are
Both
co-chair.
co-chairs. It's listed on the website as chair and co-chair, and on here as vice chair, but one's the co-chair.
Oh, okay, because at the beginning it was the chair and vice, so it's now co?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. Yeah, Angela.
In the binder, there are 2 ad hoc committees that we didn't go over. Are those dissolved? The Science Center and the...
No, we
Techno
did,
Arts?
we did say the Science Center, and
Oh,
Vic is, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, and what was the other one?
The Pet Park incident ad hoc. Is
That-
That has,
done?
that is over and done.
Yeah, this is an old list.
Okay.
So there are some on here that have served their purpose and already been removed.
So we're going to update all that stuff. Thank you for noticing that. So I think we're through with this agenda item?
Yep.
Okay, it's 12:07. The food is here. Why don't we go and get our food? We're running a little behind, so we want to make sure that we're a little bit more. Excuse me. Hey, excuse me. We're running a little behind, so let's make sure that we kind of be a little bit more economic with our comments. All right. Lunchtime.
There's just really important work.
Yeah, it was.
The right people.
Officer Bubba?
So, Martin was 1 to 4, right?
I'm a huge fan of the science.
I know there's
Recording paused during lunch. And paused at 12:07 p.m. for lunch. Okay, starting up again 12:52 p.m.
Just so that we're all aware, we have just barely a little bit more than an hour left for our day. So let's try to keep that in mind when we're making our comments and moving on. Because, I think this is Saturday. We shouldn't be here.
So that's better to do.
But why are we here?
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, for yourself, Don. I have plenty.
But why are we here? So we're going to move on to I think what we're going to try to do is kind of look a little bit at agenda item number 6 and 7 and kind of combine them as we move along. because I think there's a lot of intersectionality in in these two items. Let me tell you something. Yesterday, I participated in a discussion with the Sheriff's Department about how they are going to build community and advance public safety. And yesterday at this conference, you had the sheriff, you had a number of deputies there in their community relations capacity, and you had probably close to 200 community members. This was at Cal State LA that we did this. And one thing that I heard in those discussions at the tabletop work that we did, that we as a community want to be able to participate in how we are governed and how we are policed. The community said that in a lot of different ways. But let me also say that I heard the same thing before I left the county. We did a 4-year study on community and the relationship to law enforcement. And again, when we wrote our report for the county, boiling it down to what the community was asking is that they want to participate in how they are governed and how they are policed. I've said this before, and I've said it in public on the county end. The one thing that most communities wish they had was something that resembled the neighborhood council system, to be honest with you. Because many communities don't have that connection or that access to their leaders, their community leaders in that way. I've heard it over and over again. So many would say that our neighborhood council system might not be the best, or there's a lot of flaws to it, or it could be better, or all this other stuff. I'm going to tell you, in the eyes of someone on the outside looking in, they wish they had something like this. They wish that they can have a police officer sitting with them and talking to them and being accessible. They wish they had their elected people, their elected officials being there, and they can communicate directly with them. But the main thing is that they wish they had an access to the various city departments to share with them their frustrations. But it's not a matter of what you tell them, it's how you tell them. They don't want to be pointed at. They don't want them to be poked on the chest and say, you guys got to do this. What was determined, especially I heard it again last night, I've heard it in the past, is the fact that we have an obligation to do this respectfully, to keep it open, honest, and transparent. And that's what the community is looking for. They want to participate, but I guarantee you, if you're going to poke someone in the chest and say, this is what you got to do, and I've seen it happen, they see you walking down the street, that person you want to talk to is going to cross and go someplace else. And they're not going to want to talk to you. They're not going to invite you to the table to have that discussion. And let me just say one other thing. When we are here in a community setting, I think all of us can feel that, man, we have a great group of people sitting around the table with us. We have great people, very knowledgeable people in the audience, listening and participating. But please let me remind you, from a community organizing aspect, again, as part of my professional training, it's not who's sitting at the table, it's who's missing. And it's our obligation as a group to try to figure that out. Who are we missing around this table? I am so happy. I'm telling you this, and I've heard it from many different neighborhood councils. I am so happy that we have a youth rep. That is so important, because not all neighborhood councils have them. Because we got to hear what our youth is saying. I am so happy we have a member of the senior community here. And I like to point out that I feel like I'm that person. Because, I mean, we all have something, a perspective to share, feelings about it. So when we're looking at what we do as a neighborhood council, let's keep that in mind, that we have people looking at us to hopefully represent them equitably. So I kind of like to turn this section over to Gary, and he can kind of take the next piece out.
Put me on the spot.
Yes,
All right,
sir.
so how well do you know your community? Who's an expert? You can tell me verbatim what your neighborhood council is made up of. Good.
Our
I like honest
particular
people.
one?
Well, the whole neighborhood council, right? You're representing an area.
Right. The whole neighborhood council represents very diverse. We have a very diverse neighborhood council, but we represent a very diverse community. We have a lot of diverse people in the population that live in our community. We have elderly population. We have a lot of homeowners that have inherited homes from their families. So they've been long-term families that have lived here for years and years. We were getting a lot of younger population that's coming in. I think that's one of the things that we're missing at our neighborhood council a little bit, is some of the younger involvement of younger adults.
What's younger adults? What age?
I mean, like the 20s to 30 range in age involved.
Because currently, 47% of the population of your neighborhood council is between 30 and 64.
Yep.
Right? 15 to 29 is about 16%.
Mm-hmm.
All right? What else could you?
We, it's very much a working class community.
What's considered working class now?
Middle
working
class.
What is that? What monetary level is that?
Medium level, I would say probably 100,000 up in wage earner. But
median?
No. Well, this is a good question, because in my neighborhood,
It is a good question.
if you're making $100,000, you're rich.
no, you aren't. That's middle class.
Yeah, and so this is an interesting point, real fast, is that I read a report last year. It's amazing how when you ask people, what class are you in, how many people say they're middle class that are making $250,000 a year.
Right.
Right? Because no one wants to be the 1% or the 10%. Right? So that's an interesting, point of view. How people perceive themselves is important as well, right?
Right.
So, and real quick, some neighborhoods making $100,000 is just not enough.
Right, it's not. And it's not even enough for some at that wage to buy a home.
Yeah, right. Okay, so we got a sense, at least Melanie's saying, there's kind of a diverse population. But what does that mean? What does diverse mean in Los Angeles? What does it mean in your neighborhood? Anybody want to venture on that real fast?
Culturally, economically. I mean,
Okay.
I would go with those two as the top two.
Okay.
Renter versus homeowner.
Ah, there you go. That's a good one. That's a very important one, actually, these days. Yes?
I think it means there's different needs, and unfortunately, there's probably some implicit biases in there with the diversity.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yep.
Anything real quick? Anybody? So you're the slow, so you get to see a lot of it. You're new, I know, but can you give me a little touch of what you've seen or felt so far?
Yeah, so I mean, in a community that I served, basically you have everybody from every single background, different religions, different countries, different socioeconomic, classes, like from unhoused people to very wealthy people, different colors of skin, Asian, white, black, Hispanic. Literally, in my day-to-day operation, I come across any person at any time of the day that has come from a really good background, or unfortunately, they have not had the best hand dealt to them in life, and that's pretty much it. I mean, it's a lot.
And so you get to see a lot of different. Okay. Yes.
Diversity to me. Okay, there are, I don't know, 23, 24,000 people in Northwest San Pedro, which means there are 22 or 24,000 minorities. Everybody is different. We can, I guess, classify, define our people by an infinite number of characteristics. Okay? All of which contribute to the diversity of the community. But for me, it boils down to individuals. And so in dealing with the neighborhood council stuff over these years, every single person who walks into a room brings a different story, a different perspective. And it's always interesting to me to see this person and this person agree on this thing now. And 15 minutes later, when the next item on the agenda has rolled around, they're at loggerheads. That's diversity to me. I mean, more than anything else.
Well, we're going to get moving forward, but as a human relations advocate, and using my human relations lens, on any given day, I can be 3, 4, or 5 different people. All of us can, depending upon, this is a good scenario,
Circumstances.
what the discussion is, what the circumstances are. But the one thing that I was trained by my parents is to have, home training. So because I disagree with somebody doesn't mean I have to, whiplash them down, right? We can have disagreements. That's okay, because I have disagreed on something and later on I changed my mind because I'm going to give it a different set of situations, right? Mm-hmm. So diversity is a kind of a fluid thing. Depends on the time of day, where you're at, right? And why I am taking whatever stand is, whatever information I have, the information that I receive from a neighborhood. And the neighborhoods are different from block to block, house to house, from day to day, right? So let's just think of diversity as kind of that fluid thing. There is diversity in every place and everything. We just don't think of it that way sometimes, okay? So as people that are working on the grassroots level for folks out there, right, who, if you fell in the woods, they wouldn't even know you were here, right? And those are the people you want to outreach to, right? Let's try to develop a way to participate, to bring people's points of views in. Sometimes I want to participate, sometimes I don't, right? I'm just talking in general. And so don't take it personal, because a lot of times it's not. It's just maybe they got up on the wrong side of the bed that morning, right? Didn't get a good cup of coffee. That happens to me a lot. So just think of it that way as we're looking forward to see how you best can represent. And in this case, we want to look at the NC and community events participation. How do you participate? How do you try to help others get involved and participate? Okay? And I'm going to give one real quick example from when I was doing HR down in South LA. I was trying to make inroads with some of the neighbors, so I started hanging out in Winchell's Coffee, a donut house, right? You know Winchell's, right? And you know their coffee? Yes. I wasted so much money there. So I'd buy a cup of coffee, put it there, look at it, I wasn't going to drink it. And I was just trying to get to know, there was a group of 5 or 6 guys that used to hang out there. And I knew that they kind of knew their neighborhood, right? So I went for weeks. Weeks turned into months. No one ever spoke to me, didn't give me attention. Then about 4 months in, I took off for like 10 days. And when I came back, I got a cup of coffee and I sat down. And one of the old guys comes walking by. Where you been? So where you been? I didn't even know, he knew I was here, you know? And then they kind of started opening up. And then began to make good relationships with them. But it took a lot of bad coffee in order for me to get, and I ate, which was, it's all they had, so I'm not going to. But you get what I'm trying to get to, right? How can you best participate? How can you best get out there? Even if it's out of your comfort zone, let's say. Or maybe there's new information that you could receive and how to. And I learned a lot from these guys particularly because they taught me a lot about their neighborhood. All right, so I'm just throwing that out as an example and an idea. So let's get into the discussion, neighborhood councils, community events, participation. And what does that look like? And what are some of the questions maybe you have about that? And I was just thinking, I took some notes, like maybe meetings and events participation. You know, how do you engage? Do you feel you're engaged enough? Do you feel you need some more tools to be more engaged? Or maybe just stuff that you don't even know, which is good, right? The stuff we don't know sometimes is as important as the stuff we do know. So let's throw it out there. We've got about 15 or so minutes. Let's be brilliant. Anybody? You want to crack that first? All right. Do you think you're engaged? The whole council, not just individual. Do you think the council is engaged in it?
I don't. I think we have lots of improvement.
Okay.
Lots.
Well, that's not necessarily negative. That can be a positive. We want to go forward. I saw here and then there. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, obviously, I'm new as a senior lead officer, and I'm new to the neighborhood council aspect, but from what I gather so far in like today's meeting is you guys have committees for different areas of the community. So from my point of view, at least, it looks pretty squared away in regards to covering a lot of ground. Like, it really does.
Okay, so here, fresh eyes. Maybe you guys would do better than you think.
Yeah.
Right? That's not such a bad thing. Here and then there. Go ahead.
Well, we have the subjects covered, but it's really a struggle to get the community in those meetings and to attend. And it requires advertising those events, bringing those people in, you know, by connecting them with an issue and going, oh, I am interested about that, and that's the really difficult thing.
You're next here and then there.
I feel like we've done a pretty good job, especially like the event we just had yesterday, Movie in the Park. We got 42 signatures. I think that's pretty good outreach, and I think most of the people enjoyed it. And I think as council members, like I was there to help set up and take it down, and that was good participation.
Is that into this? Okay, go ahead.
The fact is that most people out there don't want to be involved. They appreciate that we do get involved. And so you have to determine, you know, what is engagement. Our newsletter, hard copy mail and online, is feeding them information so they're getting it. We just don't always know how many people are really getting impact or receiving the information. But as we know, a lot of people just don't want to volunteer or, you know, so you have to make it interesting or create something that they want to attend.
Real quick, as an organizer, that's an organizer's nightmare, right?
Yeah.
You know, everybody gets all excited about a thing, but then how do you keep that energy going for other things, right? Until they need it. So I hear what you're saying, here and then there.
Okay, so the other flip of this too is I'm hoping with the change in elections with new people coming in and stuff, things will change. But for events and stuff, it's not only getting more people to come to the events, it's also getting board members to participate. We have a problem where it's the same people over and over and over and over, the only ones doing the events. And you get burnout from the same people always doing it, and the other people don't show up. And showing up as a board member is vital to this. As a board member, your job isn't just to come to board meetings and warm your seat. Your job as a board member is to come and participate in all the events. Just because outreach is doing it doesn't mean that the rest of the board doesn't come and show up. Yeah, there's good reasons why somebody may not be there. Like, for instance, myself, my husband had surgery, so I couldn't be at the movie last night. But we all should try to be as active as we can with the events that our neighborhood council co-sponsors and sponsors.
So what I'm hearing is same folks doing it, all the work, like to spread it out a little bit, right? And maybe it needs to be more defined what it means to be part of whatever, right? And what you do. Sharing the work helps a lot, I know. See, you're next and then John.
Yeah, you know, it's refreshing to hear the comment from a new member because we're doing well, we're doing better in some areas, but I also feel we always work in continuous improvement and do better. what I've learned the 15 years I've been teaching at a university is those universities, Cal State's, UC's were built, for people 100 years ago, right? And we're trying to serve South Central LA, that community. That's not what our student looks like, right? So there's a stigma that's been attached to a lot of our students of color. Why don't you graduate in 4 years? We've had senators and assembly members come, and then I had a few of them take the mic saying, well, I'm working 40 hours paying taxes, I'm raising a kid, I'm taking care of an elder, I'm doing this. My professors say you can't take 5 classes and work 40 hours, right? It's hard, it doesn't work. And the thing I wanted to share for us to look at is, once we came back from the pandemic, we have half our students wanting to go online because it meets that particular member. I lament as a member of Rotary, there's no 20 or 30 somethings in that group or in other groups I'm seeing in San Pedro. So I think sometimes the formality of the Brown Act and the committees and all the rules, right, turn off some of those 20, 30 something younger folks who it's not the style they like. There's a TikTok generation that wants to see things in 30-second chunks or 5-minute chunks. So really want to challenge us and really lean into youth or new members. What's working at Parks and Rec, right? What's working at the university? What's working in elementary schools? How are we getting parents from a pastor's perspective? How do you get people in the church? I think we have to look at the history, but we got to look at the future.
John, you're next, then Ray, and then you.
I'm going to go tap off of Melanie. I've been doing this for 5 years now, and I've actually been doing youth and outreach for 7. And I remember doing, pathways to employment. We were all to get together. As a matter of fact, Lori was my neighbor, got me started. And one of the things is I got involved, and I was telling you this, Gary, to how do we better the community? How do we make it better for the stakeholders? Well, guess what? We're the eyes and ears for the stakeholders. We need, and you want to get out there, you want to tell them what's going on, Pastor Adams, he does his Mass every Sunday. Yeah, he's preaching to everybody, letting them know what's going on and why Jesus and this and that. Well, guess what? That's who we are. And to the same 4 or 5 of us that just show up, where everybody on the board should be doing this together. I've sent emails out, of course, I don't get response back, but I'll always send them out. Because there's always that one day someone's going, hell, I want to do it, But if we're all doing this, even if there's 6, 7, 8 of us there, quite a few of us can go walking around and say, hey, I'm such and such, I'm on the, come to it. Because that's getting involved with the stakeholders. That's the only way you're going to get. You have to get involved with them. And the way to do it is we're doing all these functions. Like Melanie said, we have Candy Cane Lane, we just did the movie in the park, we do it. Hey, get out there and walk around. That's what you do. A couple of us will sit at the table, then we'll walk around. Hey, come change places. But this is how you're going to get the stakeholders and go, Jesus, I want to go to the meetings. I want to see what they're talking about. So
It goes back to the organizer, right? You keep going, because someday somebody might go, hey, those people might have, right? Maybe. So Ray, here, there, and then I'll come next. Ray.
One thing that I always revert back. I've been to high school, junior college at the time that was called junior college. Did undergrad, and then I did my grad work. But I'm going to say my best education came from the streets. Okay, I mean I got all the book learning and stuff like that, but my best education came from the streets. And the streets taught me the best way to organize is the power of the one-on-one. One discussion with one person. Because that person you have that discussion with can open up a discussion with maybe their network or people they trust. Which means that when they give you the opportunity to talk to someone that they know, it's because they trust you. And once they trust you, you've now established that relationship where they'll continue to open up doors for you. And that is just so important. That's what I learned. The power of the one-on-one. Yeah. So, you may be out in that park or whatever, but take the time to find someone and have that one-on-one discussion and keep it going.
And I'll throw in as an organizer in HR, it's the big L. You listen. That's what opens up those relationships.
So in a short amount of time, from a person who's just kind of doing his own thing, and within the last year, there's so much opportunity. So I have to give credit that there's a lot of opportunity here to be involved, and I believe that the neighborhood council definitely offers that. The one part that we possibly can do a little better is there's just groups of people from past experiences or traumas or whatever it may be, if they don't feel welcome. And you may not have done anything to make them not feel welcome, but telling someone that they are welcome. And so even for my group and me stepping in and then showing up and bringing my group and introducing them and showing up. So they're saying, well, Pastor Adam is welcome, then I'm welcome. So I have a group of 15 with me. So it started off as 1, which ultimately turned into 15, like you seen last night. But now they know that they're welcome. And so I think what you provide to each demographic and each group is that you personally letting them know that they are welcome brings down some of the fear and some of the trepidation and all those things where they walk in boldly. And maybe the first 2 times you bring them with you, but I know for my group, I don't have to come to everything anymore. Because I've welcomed them, I've been there, I've introduced them, now that they know that the doors are open. And so I think people feeling comfortable and you personally telling them they are welcome. Because flyers don't do it. People kind of glance at a flyer and think it's not for everybody but them. So we're great in San Pedro at putting flyers in the chamber and everywhere. Flyers everywhere. But if you don't tell them, they don't know that they are welcome.
Exactly.
You're right.
So that sounds like a good thing to do as a neighborhood council.
Right.
A good piece to put together. All these things put together help, right? But there are some maybe that are a little bit more effective at the top that allows the bottom part to come out better. So we're going to go here, 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 and then over there.
I want to piggyback on what John said. I can tell you from past Candy Cane Lanes when we've had a lot of experience, and Lori can relate to this, when we've had a lot of people show up for Candy Cane Lane. We've done that, where people have walked around and handed out pins and engaged with people and all of that, and it really was beneficial. We engaged a lot of stakeholders that way, but when we only have like 2 or 3 people show up, then you're stuck behind the booth, doing whatever. And so that's why it's important that we all show our faces, and even if you could come for an hour or 2, that's fine. Or even 1 hour. Show up, be present, be acknowledged, and then if you have to leave after an hour, then you leave.
I had a couple of comments as I'm listening to people. I love what you said about being welcoming, because I think when someone walks into Peck Park for our board meeting, they're really not welcome. And they probably don't even know what's going on if someone hasn't told them. I think there are things the board could do just around the meetings themselves to be more welcoming. Second thing, on all the individual one-on-one conversations, a lot of it, I think, is about figuring out what's in that person's self-interest. What are they interested in? And then how does that fit within our mission? And that's also where our committees come in, because if you could figure that out, oftentimes then you could figure out that there's a committee they might be interested in, which is the best place to get people started, and then get in and become familiar there before they ever even consider running for the board or just doing other things. So I think there's a variety of things that could be done.
What would you recommend, though, Diana, for us to be more welcoming for the board? What could we do as far as...
Well, there are several things. One is just how you greet people when they come in. Make sure people that come in get greeted. Figure out, if you can, is there anything particular that brought them there tonight? We used to have a handout that explained the board meeting that we used to use, that people could, that were new, this is how the board works, so that they knew when they could speak and what kinds of things. I think it's a longer discussion, but I think there are things that work.
Okay. These are obviously people that were here at the beginning of the neighborhood council, because many, back in the wild days of the neighborhood council development, would do that. And we would actually make committees that stood up front, so when people walked in, they were greeted. So the worst thing is, you walk in and you just feel you're isolated, so why am I here? Okay, that's excellent. And handing out, having ground rules so that people feel safe, or just like an explanation, or just being welcoming. That is what should be one of the forefronts, anyway, of neighborhood council system. Over here, you had this corner, and then come over. Oh, I'm sorry. Right here. Sorry,
First of all, when I first joined the board, the funny thing is neighborhood council, the first time I ever heard about neighborhood council for that area was at Candy Cane Lane. I believe it was Melanie I spoke to at that Candy Cane Lane. And then there was another man who has since, I don't know if he passed or something, when the teachers were on strike, we were at McDonald's, and he said, oh, we have a council meeting tonight, and you need to get involved. And I'm like, well, you're at our school, and it's in our area. And I'm like, okay. And then I spoke to my daughter-in-law's mom, knew John, and I started talking to John. So it was meant for me to be on that path. But John and Lori, you guys welcomed me, you taught me, you invited me to things, you emailed me, you made I look forward to your emails, John, and your stuff, because my schedule is ridiculous. You know, I have 3 or 4 committees I'm on at school, and teaching and trainings and everything. So having those liaisons like Lori and John to welcome you and help you and get you connected has been wonderful. And then starting, like Angela and I doing the first movie night together and setting up and stuff, but it's building really, like, I'm already thinking about your baby shower. We're going to have a baby shower for you. But it's building those relationships that if we've built, and you know, with church, building relationships with one another, sharing with you how I felt about sirens, sharing, you know, the different things. I love the way you spoke to the kids last night. To me, that was impressive. There was 2 kids there that were having, or 3 kids that were having crisis, and I love how you spoke to them. And I put them on my radar right away. I'm like, oh, those are kids that need help. There was 3 of them, and you spoke to them. That said a lot to me. That meant a lot to me. Yeah. But it's being present for those things and being part of it. And Ray, I see you welcome everybody when they come in the meeting. I know sometimes we need more one-to-one type stuff, but people are coming in and out, so maybe we could have somebody that sits kind of by the door or something. Great suggestion, to have somebody welcome them specifically in to the meeting, because I see people come in and out, in and out, in and out. We don't know. We're all focused on what we're doing as, you know, as board members. But I think having those liaisons like John and Lori have been instrumental in bringing us all together and developing these relationships and stuff, so that we can be a neighborhood liaisons. And that's what I feel our job is. Not always paperwork, not always, we have to do that, and I understand that, that's bureaucracy. But the people are who we're really trying to meet. The neighborhood, not all this other stuff. So, my opinion, for what it's worth.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for reminding me you were next. That's awesome. So I'm hearing that one-on-one, meeting people, being human, has an impact. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Who knew? All right. You know, yesterday I was at a seminar around nonprofits dealing with gang violence, etc. And one of the biggest bugaboos they have is what you just brought up, the paperwork. It's necessary. Because again, somebody else has goofed up in the past, so now you can. But that they also want to have that connection so that they can relay that back.
Yeah.
And off the record, sometimes the people that are up there getting this paperwork are not connected to what you're doing.
Nope.
All right? Because they're busy up there doing all this. Sometimes. So what she's talking about is still one of the most important things in organizing and getting community together and just our living as human beings. Right? Over here in the corner, I got you two. Go ahead.
So, in regards to my previous comment that we are not doing enough, well, I'm trying to reach out to pockets that nobody's represented here at all, really. So, for example, the San Pedro Community Garden, that's 500 gardeners who come from, Spanish is the primary language. I am actually the minority with speaking English, but they love me because, you know, I'm still working and trying to do that, and I'm actually trying to include them in the conversation, as well as, you know, and drawing in, because there are issues, there are major important issues up there, and I got to tell you honestly, nobody up there believes that anybody even gives a shit. And I'm going to use that word, S-H-I-T. And it's very discouraging for them. And I'm trying to change that. And I'm a renter. I don't know how many other people are renters, but, maybe a couple of you guys are, but probably not. You own something. So, and I live on a border where there's some like multi-generational families who are like, oh, I'm 5th generation San Pedro, but then there's a whole group that are itinerant, small renters who come and go, and I know that none of them feel represented in that little pocket, and there's a lot of different languages being spoken. So I'm trying to draw in people that right now and continuing here, it's not being represented yet, and I'm actually trying to seek out groups that really aren't. And I tried on one particular occasion. We had LA Sanitation come and talk about some issues that actually were sensitive to the gardeners, for example, those 500. And they were all excited about the event and everything like that, but only 3 people came. And I actually was very attentive to try to bring somebody who would speak Spanish. And, I'm going to have to work more. But I think that we should always have a Spanish interpreter. I don't know how to do that, where because of the bureaucracy, you have to put it in 2 or 3 months 2 months in advance with Empower LA to get a translator. But then
we just have to know when the meeting, a couple weeks before the meeting, there's a certain it's like 48 hours, isn't it?
72.
72 hours?
72 according.
72 for a translator.
Right. Well, in that case, the situation is that nobody Spanish-speaking came, and so it created frustration for the individuals who brought.
But the proper
Spanish.
request wasn't made.
No.
Sorry.
That's.
Okay, that's a nightmare. That does happen.
Yeah.
But from the little acorn it goes to mighty oak tree.
But what I'm saying is that continuation of trying to, the idea that there are no Spanish speakers in this area, I would like to see more like bilingual flyers, more announcements. I know that Facebook will automatically, but the graphics and everything put in Spanish because it's not, and that already automatically is a disinvitation for an entire group that are here. So.
All right, for the record, 66% of the people in this neighborhood council are homeowners, according to this, and 34% are renters. You have 3,537, according to this, who speak Spanish in the area. Okay, so these are very good points. Again, it is frustrating when you set something up and they don't show up, but like I said, from the little acorn grows a mighty oak tree. You have to continue. And it's a good start that you're bringing it up and that you can have that discussion and find ways to outreach in that direction. Okay, you're next.
Yeah, I was just bringing up, like we had the movie in the park last night, and Kelly and Layla were there. Angela came afterwards. I had Tom and Ben that were there. We set up and stuff. But I showed them how to talk to people, and I let them do it. And actually, the 42 people who signed up, majority came from Layla and Kelly. The other thing we got last night, which was a first, was as they were talking to us, they never knew about the council. So we started telling them about the meeting, second Monday of every month. And I think we got a little over a half dozen people that are going to come to the next meeting because they want to get involved. So that was a good thing. And Mr. Signorelli here, I talked to him one day, we were talking about that, and I said, Mike, why don't you join? You'd be good on the council and this and that. You're here with and there's Mike. So it's all you got to do is just let them know. That's the bottom line with all of us here. I mean, even Adam was out there last night with his group of people. It was great. They were talking and it's just a little bit. I mean, I'm going to bring up Tim McCosker for one reason and one reason only. He gets around all over the place. He's not just,
Didn't he
Tim-
have like 2 events last night?
He had 2 events yesterday.
3 events yesterday.
Yeah, and he still came to ours, so Tim's getting out there, he gets out there and cleans the place, he gets out there and makes sure streets are getting done right. He's involved, and that's
Gets his
same thing
hands
what
dirty.
we've got to be doing.
So I'm gonna come over here and then I wanna turn it to the direction of, okay, so what do we do?
Okay, first of all, sorry, but I'm going to point out item number 4 was 1 to 2 minutes.
Yeah.
People have been going on. This is why we can't complete things at our meetings. I know you get excited, and that's great, and then the crosstalk and the commenting. The other thing I wanted to point out is we're missing some opportunities when we get all these email addresses.
Right.
Make notes on there. They were interested in this or whatever.
Amen.
Somebody should be assigned to send a follow-up email. It was great for you to be at this event. I know you're interested in this or that, whatever, and, some kind of contact with people. I used to do that. And we're missing an opportunity with all these youth that are coming to our events. I used to go around and kind of talk with them during the meeting. Do you have any questions on anything? We can have a little flyer just on youth, so they understand they can speak on public comment. So they're not just sitting there checking off, I got my government hours. We need more youth. We're missing an opportunity. Yes, we do.
So that's kind of a positive to-do right there. That's good.
Yeah.
You got that?
Angela Header.
Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to say, like, piggybacking on that, we had a kid show up for his government class, and I happened to talk to him, and he seemed really interested, so I invited him to the Youth and Outreach Committee meeting, and he showed up, and he wants to join the committee. He wasn't there last week, so
No.
I'm hoping he comes to the next one, maybe at a conflict. But one idea would be if we have people welcoming people at our board meeting, to maybe have something with a list of committees, and then letting them know this is how they can get involved. And then if we get their email, same thing, like send a follow-up, send an initial, hi, thank you for coming. These are our committees, come to, and the times they meet, come on out to anything that you're interested, and then kind of try to pull them in that way.
Yes.
Just piggybacking on that, like, my unique opportunity is the neighborhood and the community comes to me. Like, I don't have to go out, like, if I don't necessarily have to, because they're in my office. They're in my ear on the phone. Maybe if we had some kind of interest form that would allow, like, our patrons everywhere, here's your registration form, and hey, here's an interest form. I mean, it would benefit PEC, but it could also benefit the neighborhood council in a way that, yeah, here's my info, and, I'm interested in the homeless issues, or I'm interested in, finding more affordable programs for our kids, or those special
Or public
events.
safety. or-
Yes, public safety, anything like that they might be interested in, that we can maybe get to before the meetings.
Yeah.
Okay. But again, if a tree falls in the forest and there's no one there, as you heard, so who, think about this, who's not here? There's a lot of who's not here. So think about how you outreach to them as well, 'cause that's important. Here and then.
Well, actually, let Ray go.
So, I sound like a broken record, but I'm going to revert back to my organizing days. When I would present or be assigned to a community, it was really an opportunity for me to be able to listen and hear what the community is saying. And sometimes we, as listeners, we hear a lot of complaints. And I think it's those people who are voicing these complaints, they think they're doing their community work by doing that. And in their mind, they are. And it's good to hear. But guess what? I get to go home at the end of the day. They get to continue to live in the area in which they're complaining about, or the area that causes them some problems. But I start to pique my interest, or the interest is piqued, once they say, here is the problem, and here I think might be the solution. Then you start saying, okay, let's talk a little bit more about that. But when you really got it, is when they say, here's the problem, here's the solution, and I'm willing to work on it. So I'm hearing a lot of great ideas kind of like to hear, this is my organizing mind, how many of you are actually ready to get involved and help put these things together? Because they're important. Every single one of these things are important.
Well, that kind of brings us into the general areas of responsibility for board members and committee chairs. In other words, getting it done. And I saw it in your hand, and then...
Quick action item feeds off Diana Frey's comment. I'd recommend all the board members, we rotate like we do at Rotary. You don't have a choice unless you don't show up. That we all assign ourselves as a greeter. Maybe we should have leaders other than the chair, right? It's great for the president to do so, but not volunteer to take this first shift. Just so we know it's somebody's job to greet members of the public, right? And then you'll excuse us if we're a little late to our seat because we're doing that. But if we made that an action responsibility and rotated it, then it's not just two people, right? But it's all of us, and it's one thing, building what we heard from a number of people.
Great suggestion.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
And to piggyback off of that, naturally what Ray was saying, for example, for the events, I'm hoping that, and maybe with Thomas's idea, we have, like right now, a sign-up sheet for each month, and just a sign-up of what we're going to do with the events, such as movie in the park. A sign-up sheet, as soon as it's voted on, just have a sign-up sheet. These are the people who are committing to that, in the next 2 months. But in regards to Michael's thing, I'm hoping that we do come up with something, because that's been my major frustration. I'll take a sign-up sheet and have check-offs. I'm interested in the environment. I'm interested in public safety. I'm interested in this. Unfortunately, we don't have a mechanism within our own email system to funnel that particular interest to that particular individual. And I know that there's email functions that allow that person to get that kind of interest. But we also need that kind of outreach material, or that email for that particular event. And that requires a human being to commit to that. So we are talking about things that actually are creating duties for us that we need to do. And the thing that I'm sad about is like movie in the park. It would have been great to see that on Instagram more than once. And I don't know if I saw it on Facebook once, but it's a kind of constant reminder, and then we can share it. I don't get the Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council things popping up on Facebook. If I got them because of the frequency of announcements and things, that would be great. And I would love to have, some policies and some of the, did you know that you can call My LA 311 about a dead animal? Or did you know, your animal shelter needs fosters? Forward that stuff. That would be great if we could
We have to be careful with the social media policy
and
now,
that's
though.
it.
We can't share anything off of our neighborhood council page. You have to have the actual graphics to post yourself and not share off the...
But that can be requested, that can be done.
So that's something we're going to have to work around.
And so that's, there you go. There's a project right there. 311, when I first came to the city, we were promoting 311. They're still promoting it now. You can think 311 would have sunk in already. It's 25 years, right? But it's a constant battle to continue to get the information. You're right. So how you guys can start doing that is part of the question, part of your meeting here today. Get that rolling. It's excellent. Who had their hand up over here? John, somebody? No? Yes, sir.
You mentioned they're still promoting it 25 years later, and you'd think that everybody knows about it, but they don't.
I know.
Because I see posts online all the time. I saw this, poor dead cat who got hit by a car on the side of the road. Who do I call? And so people don't always know what seems like it should be obvious when it's been around for so long.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and that's something hopefully you can promote.
Yeah.
You can even have a sign every time you have a meeting. 311. Remember 311. But yes, you have to get the okay. But that might be a good thing for you to do. And then we can tell all the other neighborhood councils to do the same thing, right? Maybe one of these days they'll stick. You can track down people in the city, right? I have people calling me through 311 all the time, the few that remember 311. So think about that, right? This is a good civic service for us all to do. Okay, yes, sir.
I'm going to remind us of our time check.
Yeah.
We got maybe
Bylaws.
17.
a little bit more, a few more minutes. We really need to cover this up.
So the areas of responsibility, which is what I was kind of leading into.
Yeah.
All right, so let's take a look at that. You feel that all of you collectively are fulfilling your responsibilities in terms of being in one of the committees or whatever it is, and when you have an ad hoc, whatever. Do you feel that you can say that this group gets an A for fulfilling all of those? Yay, nay, maybe. Just drool, let me know you're there.
I think there's lots of room for improvement. I think there's a lot of good intentions, a lot of good desires, but we need more follow-through. I'd like to see agendas put out earlier, not at the last second before you have to do it. The agendas are for stakeholders to know what you're doing. Make the agendas more comprehensive. Don't just say, discuss this. Go into a little more detail so you grab the interest of a stakeholder. I think there's lots of rooms for improvement on the committee level, and if you did that, maybe you get more engagement showing up at the committee.
That's not a negative necessarily. Every department, right, could use improvement, right? I mean, you're looking at the people that provide services down here, and you think there's room for improvement. Well, then how do we get that information to them in a way that helps lead to that? So that's not, don't take it as a negative, all right? Let's look at it as, okay, so now what do we do? What do we do next?
I meant that as a solution.
Yeah, come up with some solutions, right. I got a question, something I wrote down here. What about your connecting with other like partners or agencies or people doing similar work in the area? Do you outreach to them? Do you work with them to create a collaborative that, because remember, collaboratives deal with different things, right? It doesn't always have to be the same thing, and change. So I'm just throwing that out there. The neighborhood councils, from the very beginning, the idea was, well, hey, the neighborhood council up in the northern part of the city has an idea that works here. Let's work together. Let's try to get it to work together, right? Maybe it doesn't always, it won't work for like 20 years, but maybe it works for a few years, and then blah, 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 blah. You keep moving and moving. So how do you feel about that in terms of your connectiveness to the rest of the area? Obviously, you have a connection here. PD, that's good. Yes, sir.
In my short amount of time, I have seen people show up to discuss maybe the Vincent Thomas Bridge or some big project. So we get that, we do get that. But maybe smaller or local groups that we can partner with, I don't feel like I've seen yet where someone comes in and says, we're doing this. We would love for you guys to be a part, have a booth, show up. I mean, even if it's not spending money or anything, just showing. I don't know if we've, in my time, I don't know if we've had that.
We have
get
had
the
in the
big,
past.
Okay, I know we
It's
get the big
just
things.
Here and there.
It's slow coming with the pandemic, everybody getting going again and stuff, I think.
I mean,
Because that was the great thing, again, to bring a movie in the park. It was like so many sponsors, like everyone was a part of that, so we all felt like we could do our little piece, and so that was the great idea with that.
Well, again, from the little acorn grows a mighty oak tree. Keep building.
Well, with that, I really enjoyed, and Yolanda had a lot to do with it, really, Yolanda Regalado, but the Dia de los Muertos event was a perfect opportunity to have a booth, if we could have had it. Really an amazing event, and we should really consider having that as an intended thing. But again, it requires all of us to volunteer, to be there, so that, not always have outreach dealing with it,
See, the only thing is that that's in Central. We need to start doing more in Northwest, because those are the people that are going to come to our meetings. If we can, try and focus to try and get people to attend our meetings.
Well,
but there isn't no events in Northwest. That's the
But
biggest
maybe
problem.
that's, like she's saying, maybe we should start doing it.
Northwest.
Yeah.
It's people in Central don't go to just Central event. I mean, I'm in Northwest. I went.
Well, the idea is to try to bring community together.
Right. Okay.
And so you're leading community. You're an excellent.
I know this is a more informal meeting, but this constant back and forth drives me absolutely crazy, I've got to tell you. I patiently raise my hand, and I wish other people would too. An event like that, this is, to your point, partnering with the Chamber of Commerce to know all the events that are on their calendar that you have an opportunity to participate in, whether it's First Thursday or whatever. But I ask everybody, if we're going to stay on time, please raise your hand and not just interject. That's my personal opinion.
No, you're good. All right, but the idea, general idea here was, yes, you're meeting for a larger, not for a smaller. Okay, that's one of the problems with 30 years ago when we began to talk about neighborhood council. You didn't feel like there was a larger, right, and the smaller was getting lost. Okay, so again, just looking back, what then are some solutions here that you can start to begin to develop to make this unit stronger so that it can become a more important part of the greater Los Angeles and the greater South Bay. Yep.
I'm almost afraid to since Lori talked. When we talk about collaboration, we've done this for a bunch of years. I mean, my favorite collaboration is sitting in Sirens with Ray drinking coffee.
Yeah.
But what I've observed amongst neighborhood councils, and I've worked with councils all over the entire city on a regular basis. I have a meeting tomorrow on Zoom, believe it or not, with a bunch of them. But what's really important for neighborhood councils are those individual points of contact. I mean, in a typical week, I've had conversations quite often with Diana, Lori, John. I've had the occasional conversation with Gwen, Melanie, Ray frequently, Cheryl, of course, who also serves on Coastal San Pedro. But these are all one-on-one contacts. Sometimes they're coffee, sometimes they're texts, emails, sometimes they're phone calls. We sit in a lot of joint planning committee meetings. And one of the things I've observed that's really important is not only getting to know all these people who give ridiculous amounts of time because apparently none of them have a Netflix subscription. But it's very important that we know the same things, that we hear the same information. Especially in a place like Pedro, where you have only to look at Nextdoor, Facebook, you name it, and see the latest astoundingly stupid, ridiculous rumor that's flying all over the place. Okay? So I know some neighborhood councils, individuals do a little bit better job of reaching out and conversing with others, but I've stolen all my best ideas from other neighborhood councils. As much time as you're stuck spending with your neighborhood council, there is, honest to God, there is nothing more better in this than sitting down at a place like Cyrus with a cup of coffee and talking to somebody else from one of the other neighborhood councils. It is, honestly, for me, it's a really enjoyable thing to do, and it's useful.
Okay. All right, so coming back, bring it back to, go ahead.
Just one thing. When we engage with the people and stuff, one of the things in other communities and other people, Ray's come up with this and many of times, and it's something we all should stick by. It's not what, what are you doing? And Ray's always said this, talk to them. It says, what can we as a council help you out and do things for you? How can we help? Okay? And that's a big thing, I think. It's one of the biggest things that, when he first said that to us a while back. And it's true. You're talking to people and say, hey, well, what can we do? Or we're talking to organizations. You want them to come. You want them to be at our meetings. Hey, what can we do to help you out? How can we be a part of you and help you grow what you're doing and help, be part of this community? That's one of the, biggest things we all got to keep reminding.
Okay. Well, Ray, I know you want to go also have to get into the bylaws, right?
I'm going to make a couple suggestions here because we are running out of time. I want to respect every single one of your time because many of you were here on time. So I think it really is important for us to respect your time even more and make sure that you're out of here on time. So what I'd like to do, there are bylaw items here that are really important given what we have seen at our meetings. Could I ask that you look at these items, these bylaw items? If you don't have the bylaws, we'll make sure that you get them.
They've got them.
But
They've got their copies of them cut and pasted, so that you don't even have to search the bylaws for each one of them.
Please look at them, and let's kind of make it our responsibility to go by them because they are important. You had really great minds looking at these and building them up, and one of the great minds is sitting in the back over there, so they help put these things together. Really do that. What I'd like to do, and this is what I heard, some action items on agenda item number 9, some action items. I heard greeters, the importance of greeters, that they're coming, that they're, when people are coming into our meetings. I also heard that perhaps a good idea would be to rotate them so that we had the opportunity for all of us to get into that greeting mode and talking mode. I heard that a handout was once used for all people who may not be on top of what a neighborhood council is all about, that we have that. And we hand them out. They're available if we're at an event, if we're at our meetings, to have those things available so that people can see and have them available. 42 people signed up this past weekend, yesterday. So I would like to say that we need at least 42 follow-up communications to them and thank them for being there and signing up, and this is what we can do. Our government hour youth, I think we have an obligation to help us understand their need and to have that conversation with them. So we need some real specific outreach to these youth who are there, trying to figure out what government's all about. And if I can just say this, the thing that disturbs me the most is when we as adults act like children in our meetings. Sometimes it happens.
In front of them.
In front of them. And this is not the way we run our communities or our government. So let's be conscious of that, because I think that goes a lot to their government knowledge, that we, of all people, can get along and get stuff done. But have a special effort to outreach to those government youth and say, hey, come back and do whatever. I saw Diana's.
Just a thought on the government. You may want to consider having someone go and speak at the government class too about what neighborhood council.
No, that's a good idea. Yeah,
And to emphasize that not only for them to attend, but we want to hear from them, and for them to take advantage of that as an opportunity to speak as well.
Well, I'm a commissioner for the LUSD's Human Relations and Education Equity Commission. And it's a little bit of a difficult ask, but it can be done. So maybe I can make some connections where you can begin to do that. I saw your hand. No? You were just stretching. Oh, your hand.
Yeah, I don't know if you were looking for volunteers for the action items. Is that?
I really would. I really wish we had the time to say, you do it, you do it, you do it. But we need to do that.
For
Again,
next meeting.
so I'm putting this out. Hopefully we'll have our minutes out at a time when we can focus on that and people can start thinking about what they would like to do.
I was just going to say, I have reached out to the monkey, and they haven't really responded, so maybe somebody needs to actually go to the school and speak to them in person, because I've offered to have somebody from neighborhood council speak to their government classes many times, and having a youth rep do it would be
Well, yeah,
greater.
a lot of my friends are in the class at St. Pedro in the school.
Yes, but we have to get
They
the
just
teachers
don't
okay.
like going to the meetings, because it's like 3 hours.
Also, it helps to have an
It's at night.
On the coast or
an assistant principal on your corner, because they're the ones, more than the principal, they're the ones that can, potentially have that happen.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say real quick, I want to add to something that was Ray saying. When I took my position as a teacher, classroom educator, I knew that I had to be on my P's and Q's all the time, which is why I went to Paris party and have a good time for my vacation, okay? Because I can howl at the moon and nobody knows. But you knew the job was dangerous when you took it. You need to be representative. And yeah, we all have to learn. We all sometimes, trip. It's okay. But we are represented.
We have a morality clause too.
And the last thing that I took down is the use of an interest form for our visitors. So that we can, again, another opportunity for contact. So I would have loved to have been able to really get commitments from all of you, who's going to take an assignment, but I will give you the opportunity to think and have a true desire to take that next step in participation and help us do better for our communities. Kelly.
Do we have a parliamentarian at our meetings that the person who's the speaker takes care of, accounts for the speaking time and all of that? Like the person who handles that?
We don't have a formal one.
Not official.
I volunteer to do that.
I saw how well you handled that when the school person came in.
Whoever does it has to be really versed in our bylaws.
But here's the other side of that. It's nice to have someone like that, but it's so easy to abuse. I'm not saying that's what but we have people who would abuse it and make loud, their discontent utilizing that thing.
Just for the sake of the time.
Well, we have a time machine, and we've got to make the clock timer, time machine, and we have to make the person we're paying to do our audio accountable to use that timer.
I think that time machine.
That's more of what
He needs to be held accountable to use
Like having him call who's doing what, I think is important.
If we have the timer, I'll hold the club.
But he's paid to do that. He needs to.
Okay.
What I'm hearing is a discussion, Ray, to develop as part of the bylaws, whatever.
I'm going to ask that our next board meeting, this is an agenda item so that we can lock down
That sounds good.
volunteers, responsible parties, and all this other stuff. Please think real seriously about your next level of participation by helping us do this outreach. And
This backboard thing drives me crazy too.
yeah. We do not have any time left, but I will be willing, God, if I can just make sure that you all hold down to a 30-second comment. Is there something you have to say and you have just 30 seconds? Melanie, can you do it in 30 seconds?
Yes, I can.
Okay, we're
What are we
timing.
going to do with the leftover food as a board? No. What do you want to do with the leftover food?
Leave it for the.
I'd like to offer it
Yeah,
to
to the police station.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just have a unanimous
They can-
decision of
they
this. If
can
I
let
leave
it
it
All right, I
sit
have
there
one
just
thing
while
I want to
they're out.
announce. Talking about connected communities, tomorrow from 7 to 2 o'clock, from 7 a.m. to 2 o'clock, they're closing down the 110 freeway in my neighborhood on the east side. What are they? They don't do that anymore. All right, it's called the 626 event, and you're going to be able to, on one side of the freeway, you can ride your bike, your skateboard.
Oh, wow.
On the other side, you can walk. And guess what? We're going to ask people to do that thing that we were taught when we were growing up. Walk on the right side.
Is that cyclavia?
It's not cyclovia.
So it's tomorrow.
It's
There's
called
going to be
different.
three
It's called something different.
areas by the Lincoln
626
Heights
is what
Metro
it's
Stop, Sycamore Park, and then in South Pasadena,
Oh,
they're going to
wow.
have events and stuff like that.
That's gonna
so
be crazy.
come on out to my neighborhood. Have some fun.
Hey, I want to really thank Gary for all his work with us. I want to thank Octaviano for being here today and helping us get through. He always is, but today, Officer of Maloney, please, he was here all day.
he was there all last night.
And last night.
Yeah.
There last night.
Yeah.
He's here as a resource. Don't take advantage of him. I'm gonna tell you. Don't give his number out to nobody unless you check with him first.
Yeah.
Okay? Please?
Well, do the official adjournment.
We are now adjourned. It is 2:03. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.